Yes, y'all. It's another Saturday night. Therefore, another Saturday night to breeze. I want to thank everyone who will be in attendance. I just rushed home myself to be able to do this show. So I'm sure others are running a little late. I want to thank everyone who will be in attendance, either in the chat, on the panel, and those of you who listen during the playback. I'd like to promote you guys dropping some comments. Those of you who listen in the playback, drop some comments to things you've heard during the live stream, and allow us to interact with you in the comment section. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button and share the show to your social media. Share it via email to your people who you think would like to see the engagement that we have here every Saturday night. Without further ado, I want to tell you what's in store for tonight. We'll end at 11 p.m. So we have 5 topics that we'll try to get through. We're going to talk about Kwame Ture and his thoughts on OJ Simpson. We're going to look at something that was a big hullabaloo. I didn't tune into it too much on social media. It was on Twitter. About a woman who looks white but claims black, and it brought up this whole Creole conversation in New Orleans and stuff like that. So we're going to try to answer, is Black American a legitimate identity if those who classified as white or look white can identify as Black American? Can people with white family members be trusted? That's a very important question. Very important question. We'll talk about that tonight. We're going to try to answer the question, what's wrong with marrying a pole dancer? We're going to look at a scenario where there's a systematic programming to encourage Black women to be the white man mistress again and again and again. Lastly, we're going to try to answer the question, why do comedians seem to be more profound than normies? Why do comedians seem to be more profound than normies? So those are the 5 topics we have in store for you tonight. What I'll do now is officially start the show. And on the other side, I'll drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1, as well as introduce any and all of my panelists tonight. So you guys do stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now, your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where Black problems are addressed with Black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Yes, indeed. Thank everyone for being here. I see Trigger Happy 2. Peace. We got the pro-black perspective out there saying peace as well. We also got the pro-black perspective up on the panel tonight. It's just he and I so far. Let me welcome in our boy Oni. Oni, how are you this week?
I'm cool. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, I'm cool. It's all good.
Thanks for coming through. Over there on the continent. I appreciate you. I know the time difference is kind of wild, but I appreciate you coming through. Without further ado, since there's no one else here but Oni and I, which is not unfamiliar territory, let's get to Shoot the Breeze topic number one then. Shoot the Breeze topic number one says Kwame Ture gives his thoughts on OJ Simpson. This comes with a link that'll take us to YouTube. We'll watch the video. It's only a few minutes. We'll watch the video, and then on the other side, we'll discuss it with any and all panelists that we have. Stay tuned.
In organizing students on campus, what would you say to a possible population of apathetic African students who don't have... In organizing students on campus, what would you say to a possible population of apathetic African students who don't have time for their people or only have time to get their degree? How would you, per se, light a fire that way?
All right, in the first place, you must take away the word apathetic. There are no apathetic people. Their energies are misdirected. For example, if you call a meeting of African students on this campus and put up leaflets everywhere, not many of them will show up. But if you have a dance on Friday night and don't tell nobody, everybody knows. So their energies, they're not apathetic, it's just the energies are misdirected. In every aspect now to quality of life, you have brothers and sisters on this campus, I'm sure, who, while being members of fraternities and sororities, are also Christians. And I'm willing to bet you they know more of the history of their fraternities and sororities than they do of Christianity. Yes, it's a fact. You know, it means it shows you. Even today, Christians in this country know more about the life of OJ than they do of JC. Peace be upon his name. So you must understand that it is not the student that is apathetic. The student's energy is misdirected. Your job is to redirect the energies to the forces that affect their lives. So once you take this, you've made the fight an objective fight. That is, you understand the forces which you're up against. If you don't do that, you make serious trouble. One of the errors that people in our community make all the time is that they make an analysis of an oppressed people and they leave out the oppressor. You can never make an analysis of an oppressed people in any aspect of their life and leave out the oppressor. If you do, you'll end up blaming the people. And so once you blame the people, then you're in trouble, because now you either got to recreate them or, but once you understand that there are forces that are making them go this way, then you know your struggle is against these forces. All right. Now, that brings us to the solution. This question we're asked all the time, and the solution is really very simple. You know, the truth is very simple, but sometimes implementation of the truth, that's where difficulty arises. The word is constant, political education. Constant. I mean, like they are. You know, whether you want to know something about the OJ trial or not, you're going to know something about it in this country today. Whether you want to or not. Now, I don't care about it, really. You know, what you know about it? He ain't never done nothing for us. Why care about it? Well, he might go to, you know, they might lynch him. Well, they've lynched better Africans than that unjust system. You know, so really, that's not my problem. But you cannot get around it. Because they're constant. The example we give all the time is clear. Every child in this country over 8 years old knows about Coca-Cola. Yet Coca-Cola doesn't stop putting up signs or whistling jingles. So we must be as enthusiastic about winning our people over the struggle as Coca-Cola is about selling Cokes. Theirs is constant. You can't hardly turn without hearing, buy a Coke, get a Coke, get Coke, get Coke, get Coke, get Coke. I mean, it's just a fact. It's just a fact. Matter of fact, they can bring it to your bedroom. That's what they do. So when you go to sleep, you see it. When you get up, you see it. Yeah. So where students fall short is on this question of constant. If you get about 3 or 4 brothers and sisters who are serious, and you know where we hang out, which area of the cafeteria we hang out, and you just get one little cards like these, little Xerox paper, what you doing for your people? They shed blood to get you here. Every day you drop something like that on them. Nothing heavy. I mean, just some light stuff, every day. Now, the reason we know it works is because conscience is in every human being, and it's a moral regulator, and it instinctively recognizes truth, instinctively. And they're living a lie. That's why we can win over them. Capitalism's weakest point is the lies it tells. Our strongest point is the truth we tell. I don't think people recognize that. So when you see a brother who's not being responsible about looking at the history of Africa, he's living a lie. The lie is that he's living the history that doesn't belong to him. It's not his history. The job of the oppressor is to make you think the oppressed and the oppressor have the same history. That's their job. In fact, they want some of us to think that we came to America on the Mayflower, and some do think it. So our job is to constantly give them the truth. Constantly give them the truth. They are told all the time that in this country, you ain't got to care about nobody except yourself. They're told that in a million different ways. I mean, I tell you, individuals push to such ludicrous heights as Rambo and Superman. So they're getting individualism 24 hours a day. And you have to come and give them community orientation 24 hours a day. You understand? But you must not get whooped. Coca-Cola got a whole lot of technology, but they ain't got the truth. You got it. You got the truth. And you got the most powerful weapon. And that's why it must be constantly applied, because they know the only way lies can dominate truth is that lies must be constant. Constant. Anytime lies stop, truth surfaces. So in their approach of constant lies to propagandize our people, we must take the approach of constant truth to propagandize our people, but we must be constant. And this is where students who fall down. They come out for 1 week. I gave out the papers for 1 week. They listened to me. Harriet Tubman took struggle to her grave. so good.
Very interesting video there and prompt. OJ wasn't much of a topic in that video, but the entirety of the video is pretty good stuff. Only Kwame Ture gives his thoughts on OJ Simpson. What say you?
Well, yeah, I didn't really see too much about OJ Simpson. So I don't really know much to say in regards to that. It was a good video about the constant application of political education. And I think that's a really solid point. We tend to not apply our, quote unquote, political education constantly. And we also tend to not necessarily give a politically educated point of view. I could even like you got to be grateful for the AAPRP, the All African People's Revolutionary Party. Kwame Ture and his really logical manner for I guess socialism or African socialism. Is a really good it can be used as a good stepping stone towards approaching things in a more rational and reasonable way. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says. And also, I don't know if you picked up on it, but he does not sound Trinidadian at all, right? like he does not sound Trinidadian at all. Or maybe he does, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see the OJ Simpson relation. I guess he said that there were worse people than OJ Simpson that they would have lynched or whatever. I don't really know what else to say. Come again?
He said there were better Africans than OJ who they lynched. So
yeah, I don't get it. So that's whatever. But all right, yeah. I mean, I don't know the question. I mean, I don't know. I don't really see the relation to OJ Simpson here. I think he just mentions him because he's in the news. He was in the news at the time, but it is what it is. I guess RIP to Kwame Ture.
Appreciate that, Oni. Yeah, I actually think it's a pretty clever prompt because it talks about OJ Simpson, although that wasn't the focus of the video. It was a little bit more important. But I thought it was interesting that Ture, who doesn't necessarily sound Trinidadian, but at this point, he's been out of Trinidad 30 plus years, you know what I mean? So, and he came to the States pretty young. But I think it's interesting when he said that there were much better Africans than OJ, which I agree with. I agree with that. I think the reason why most people support OJ is because he seemingly beat the system, and I could remember I was in the States when the OJ verdict happened, and I remember watching a white boy on TV being interviewed, an old white guy, and he was sad and frustrated. He was like, "Yeah, the jurors got their boy off. The jurors got their boy off." So, yeah, I think that's why people kind of gravitate to that OJ thing for that reason, really. Let me welcome in a couple of panelists who have joined us since the video was running. First up is Bwana Hagaziki. Bwana, how are you this week?
Good night to you, brothers. You know, I'm good, man. I hope you all guys are well.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming through. Let's welcome in Black Steel this week. Black Steel, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for coming through. And then Brother Bakari is here. Brother Bakari, how are you this week?
Everything is everything, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to hear your voice. Since I got you here, Bakari, let me hear your thoughts on what Kwame Ture said, his thoughts on OJ Simpson.
I don't know what Kwame Ture said. I was just going to take me an opportunity to crap on OJ Simpson.
Okay, go ahead.
I just turned it on. Can y'all hear me, or did it look like I went out?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said, what did he? I'm being honest. When I turned it on, the prompt was done playing.
Okay, so basically so Kwame Ture, for the most part, he's talking about propaganda, and he's talking about like political education, how you need to feed that to people every day. But he also mentions how, like in America, they inundate you with stuff, even if you don't want it. And at the time he's speaking is around the time, I guess, OJ got acquitted or was on
my phone tripping.
Or was on trial. But step out and come back in. Right? So he was on trial at the time, and so Kwame Ture is saying even this OJ thing, which he doesn't care about, even he's being inundated with that information. And he added that there were better Africans who had been lynched than OJ. So why should he basically pay attention to what's going on with OJ? Bakari, jump out and come back in because I think you're having some audio problems. So just jump out and come back in. Let me throw it to Bwana. Bwana, did you catch the video?
Yes, I did. Oni said something that was interesting. Oni said that he doesn't sound Trinidadian. And I think that with Kwame Ture, and mentioning the fact that he did leave Trinidad when he was very young, and he spent a lot of his almost like young adulthood, you know, with Kingdom in the South and things of that nature. And you could hear him having an American accent at the times when he spoke at college campuses and things of that nature. And then when he went to Africa and lived there for a time, I don't know if many people would have noticed, but as an older man, Kwame Ture accent changed again. So he would sound more African than he would sound American. So I think that he is a man who was really influenced by his travels and the people who he was around constantly. So I think that that's the kind of the reason why you hear his accents change. You know, people would say that about me from time to time, you know, but I would live in different parts of the world. So, well, that's neither here nor there. In terms of OJ Simpson, I think that what he was saying was true when he talks about political education. the Western media tends to want to educate you politically, whether we know it or not, consciously or unconsciously, about men or people in the society. You know, they like to wage these political lynchings in front of the faces of many people who are influenced by these so-called athletes and entertainers and stuff like that. Now it's P. Diddy. It went from Bill Court. They lynch us from time to time, especially the wealthy ones, to show the rest of the world that these people are nothing but fiends, you know, barbarians, and they send an indirect message to us, you know, people who are striving and trying to make it. It's like no way you make it. No matter if you make $1 million on the face of this planet, we can still put you in our prison and discard you and throw you out or throw you away. And your own people will condemn you because we set up these institutions like that. We will make these people look like devils. You know, there are many things about the OJ Simpson trial in terms of the facts that was left out of the trial itself. You know, many people don't know that Nicole Brown Simpson, you know, I think I heard that her handyman was a serial killer. And he admitted to killing her, left out of the trial. You know, these things were done for specific reasons because the Western media wanted to exact a public lynching. You know, they did it to several different powerful black male figures, you know, through our contemporary history, especially when they become powerful financially and economically. You know, and OJ Simpson was just in a long line of other people they did. Granted, he may have deserved the things he was getting, you know, granted, but I just feel like they do that from time to time. And they educate us politically, whether we know it or not, directly or indirectly, to say, here's what we'll do to you all prominent people in male people in the society, you know, as a message to us. You know, and I think that we should take it upon ourselves to really educate ourselves about our own leaders. You know, because Kwame Ture, to me, he was a very good teacher, and he should have. He is the kind of people that we should try to listen to and gain some political wisdom and knowledge from. But unfortunately, in today's society, that's not the case. You know, the reason why people want to live the OJ Simpson lifestyle is because he's a quote unquote successful black male who is fully integrated in white society, and he's gotten his white woman. He lives in Brentwood, and he's a multi-millionaire. This is an integrationist fantasy for a lot of black Negroes. So this is the reason why people chase that fantasy. And even though at the end of the day you discover, you know, it is what it is. You could be as powerful as possible, but we could still, you know, when we're ready to castrate you before the world, we'll still be able to castrate you before the world. And there'll be nothing you will do about it because your own people will be cheering that on. You know, but needless to say, I think that what he was saying was very true to form. And, you know, shout out to Kwame Ture. I'll leave it there, Koku.
I appreciate that. Juan Bakari seems to be having trouble. He was up, then he's gone. There he goes again. Let's see if we can get Bakari in. Bakari, can you hear us? Bakari, are you there? All right. Look like Bakari's having some problems here.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Y'all can hear me now?
Yes.
I don't know, man. I'm using my phone. I don't, like I said, I don't know what he said. I didn't see the prompt. I turned it done. Can you tell me what he said again, please?
Basically, well, as far as OJ goes, it was just a brief thing about OJ. The reason why he brought up OJ is because at the time, I guess, is when the OJ case was going on, the OJ trial. And so he was showing how, like, you get propagandized in the media all the time. They'll sell you Coca-Cola, they'll sell you OJ's trial. And what he said about OJ is that there were better Africans who were lynched than OJ. So that's basically what he said. So what say you about OJ? Okay.
Well, I agree how we absolutely propagandized. OJ wasn't worth a damn. He's dead. I'm not trying to crap on him. All you have to see is how black people has been on social media taking up for OJ and have a problem when I say why. OJ wouldn't have pissed on these black people that taking up for him. He wouldn't have pissed on them if they was on fire. So I agree with Kwame Ture. It's been much better Africans uh, 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 than OJ. OJ, somebody who would tell you he's not even black, right? He ain't black. He OJ. But I don't know why uh, the media, when they propagandize it, this is what I used to always say. Why they talk about race baiting every time a black person say something? But every time a black person say, "Oh, he a race baiter," but there's no bigger race baiters than white people, and we get played. Well, black people get played because I ain't gonna put myself in that we because it don't happen to me. Black, I've learned, black people get played like a tune all of the time with everything that white people do. And when you say propagandize, it's bigger than it's much bigger than OJ. The way black people get played, white people know how to racialize everything, and black people gonna jump on the bandwagon and say they are defending black, and most of the time they're defending white. There's a black there's a black face, and in this case, they're defending white. They are defending white, but saying, well, they taking up for OJ because white people uh, was glad he died. Well, I have nothing to do with that. That's the army OJ Simpson had chosen to be with. He had chosen to be with white people. So the people that he chose with turned on him. It's not my job, and I say, and I don't think any other black person's job, to take OJ Simpson back. Let him stay. He's gone now, but I'm just saying, let him stay. He didn't want to be here. Sometimes we have to let people go. We can't always continuously fall for everything that white people do. And I'm going to pass the mic, but I could give you several examples over the last month where white people use race baiting on TV and propaganda to make black people choose white people. Black white people have the uncanny ability of making black people be extremely loyal to them. On that, I'll pass the mic.
I appreciate that, Bakari. Last but not least, let's hear from Black Steel. Kwame Ture gives his thoughts on OJ Simpson. What say you, Black Steel?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there's a lot of jewels dropped in this video. One thing, now his comment about OJ was kind of like, a little sidebar about they've lynched better Africans than OJ, which is very true. So like Bakari said, OJ famously said, "I'm not black, I'm OJ," as though his celebrity status put him above and beyond the other black people. Now I was in ninth grade when the OJ Simpson trial took place, and I remember people being excited only because not so much we love OJ, but because that basically here a black man was getting off of convicted murder charge of a double murder charge. The LAPD, probably one of the most racist police departments in the United States. Maybe NYPD might be equal, or Chicago, I don't know. But this happened not too long after the Rodney King trial, where we saw four LA police officers beat a black motorist almost to death on camera, and they got acquitted. It happened not too long after the murder of Latasha Harlins in LA, where a Korean shop owner shot a black girl in the head and she got probation. So there was a lot of anger and resentment built up against the police department and basically the system itself at that time. So when OJ is acquitted of the murders of his ex-wife and her boyfriend or whatever, a lot of people were happy. Hey, they've been screwing us so much. Now it's time for them to get a taste of the medicine. Not to mention the fact that the prosecution didn't really make the case. They didn't really prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. The lead cop in charge, Mark Furman, was a known racist. They asked him, if he planted evidence, he pled the fifth. So, I mean, Johnny Cochran masterfully handled that case. But that's besides the point. He mentions OJ really just to mention the fact that we're constantly inundated with imaging and messaging from the dominant society. And the only way he said something, he said he said when the lies stop, truth surfaces. That way, we must constantly apply the truth. And what I feel is that many times we are reactive in our how we deal with the system. The system, it does something, we react. The system maybe backs off a little bit. Somebody gets arrested, then it's something else again. But we're always reacting. We're always, we're doing something. We take a break, then it comes back again. But it's never a constant application. You got to keep hammering these points home, no matter how many times they roll their eyes at you at the family gatherings, no matter how many times people suck their teeth at you. You got to keep coming with the truth. And this is the point that he really was saying, is that just like the enemy applies their lies constantly, we got to apply our truth constantly. And I think that's where we mess up sometimes, because we get complacent. We're not constantly bringing that home. I think that's really what his point was about organization and constantly confronting these lies with the truth. There's always some new lie they come up with. There's always some new story that they're concocting, and now it's making it so bad. You have black people who are using white people's rhetoric against other black people. I mean, I shouldn't say that's new. That's always been. They've always been Negroes like that. But I think that we're seeing now white people not even really doing the most of the legwork. They got their personal hand-picked Negroes to do their legwork for them, right? So it like somebody mentioned, whenever you have these racist police departments, they usually have a black sheriff in charge. So they put a black face on white power, and they say, "Oh, it's not racist; it's a black person in charge." When we understand that this black person is merely the figurehead. So just like he was saying, you got to constantly apply the truth, constantly, 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 no matter how tired we get. He's another thing Kwame Ture said, not in this video, but he said it is the job of the conscious to make the unconscious conscious, and it's a very important job. But I could also understand how tiring it can be. But just because we still got to keep at it, it's constant application of the truth. We got to confront these lies, confront the propaganda, confront the brainwashing, because it's a lot of work, hard work. But I'll leave it there. Thank you.
I have a follow-up question, but let me just deal with the chat real quick. Anthony McPhail is out there. He's saying peace to the panel and chat. So thanks for coming through, Anthony. Kennedy Don 7 says OJ was a joker, gets hammed up by white folks for dealing with Mzungu female, and runs back to the same Mzungu females after getting acquitted. Shaking my damn head. Afro Native World agrees with Buana. He said Kwame Ture grew up in the U.S. since he was 11. I didn't realize it was that young, but yeah, that makes sense. Trigger Happy 262 says, I think Kwame Ture, is trying to say that the black ruling class doesn't matter. That's how I somewhat interpret it as. I could see that too. Let's shout out to RBG, Real Black Gentleman, is out there in the chat as well. And Andy says he'll join the panel in a few. I appreciate that. My follow-up question to you guys, and I think you guys are a good group of guys to ask this question to. Like Black Seal just said a second ago, of what Kwame Ture said towards the end of this video, that we have to constantly do the work. It's the duty of the conscious to make the unconscious conscious. I'm curious though, what do you guys think is the mode of operation today, 2024, for getting through to our people? Back in the day, at one point, it was the newspaper guys on the corners. At one point, it was the guys with the flyers. I was thinking about this the other day. Even in my lifetime when I was younger, there used to be, these hand-drawn, handwritten, Xeroxed, flyers and stuff that used to be put up around. I don't see that kind of thing anymore. What should we be doing? Like, what sort of ideas should we be trying to use to get the unconscious conscious today? I'll start with Oni.
Oh damn. Well, that's the thing though. Like I say, what I say is you got to be local. I think one of the advantages that our ancestors had was that they were local. they engage people in their community, or they built up, their own institutions from the ground up. You know, I remember this story. There's this book, I think it's called like How to Do a People's Revolution, something like that. Some brother in America wrote a book, like kind of like a manual, a how to, and he had some interesting advice where he was like, you gotta meet with the organization leaders in your community, you know, all of them, including he includes gang leaders, And I actually I was a part of I had an organization at the time, and this dude didn't tell me that I was meeting up with some gangbanger. He was like, "Oh, I just wanted to see, such and such the book." And I'm like, "What the fuck? You should have told me it was some gangbanger." Because I was, clowning the dude at some point. I was like, "Man, you don't know nothing about African history." This dude had a bunch of killers swarming the building for some reason. Anyway, but like, yeah, technically, if you're really trying to organize in this matter of fact, this was in Bed-Stuy, right? So yeah, but technically, if you're trying to organize something in Bed-Stuy, you're supposed to speak to people in the Bed-Stuy community, people who have institutions, whether that be the church leader, whether that be the gang leader, and I'm not saying go talk to the gang leaders, but that's the kind of stuff that people used to do. I think the best book for this, honestly, is Marcus Garvey's Message to the People, where he would tell you, talk to everybody, and talk to them multiple times as well. And he would say, talk to everybody and try to engage them in the message of why he said talk to everybody. He says, try to get them into the UNIA. Try to get everybody, try to recruit everybody to UNIA. And obviously, in today's day and age, you wouldn't want to get everybody in the UNIA, or you wouldn't want to get everybody in your Black organization. But one of the things that people did back in the day before social media was that we talked to people in our community on a regular. And that's what the church does. It talks to people in the community on a regular. And eventually you could broaden out to a bigger platform, to a wider audience. But yeah, I think it really starts with communicating with people locally, So like right now I'm in Tanzania. Yeah, if I were to just talk with my neighbors and talk with the people and have, political meetings and so on and so forth, I could probably get something, popping where I'm at. But like I said, I'm from Tanzania and I'm trying to get some shit happening, get some shit popping in Botswana, or if I'm in America and I'm trying to get shit popping in Botswana, it's not as probable if you're not connected with people on the ground, So I think some of us kind of look at the internet for like a substitute for engaging people on the ground. But I could just say one thing. In fact, back in America, I had some neighbors who were Jews. I guess the European type, right? And what they do every week, like I had a meeting every weekend. They had a meeting every weekend, but their meetings were local. They built up, like a little building, and they would meet up every week to discuss their political, economic, and cultural future, and it's Kwame Ture himself who said that's the difference between the KKK and African Americans. He said the KKK meets up every week to discuss their, he says their racist ideology, but really their political, economic, and cultural future. But we don't. The only time we meet up is to go to church, and most of us use it to sing and dance. Sing songs, dance, and quote unquote praise the Lord or whatever. But if we stop doing that, if we start meeting up locally, we could probably change our communities and then broaden that out, expand on that. That's it.
Appreciate that, Oni. Buano, what say you in the Bahamas?
It's interesting because when we talk about political awareness and political consciousness, I listen to Brother Bakari And when he say that you got to be going to the streets and things of that nature, I've been in the streets. I've been passing out the flyers. I've been teaching in classrooms. You know, and I understand that analogy, and I understand that work. That work needs to be done. I'll never take away from the fact that there needs to be local things done. However, however, I cannot get past the impact of automation. And I think that black people want to run away from technology and automation where we are right now. You could not dismiss the fact that I could sit here in one position and speak to hundreds and hundreds of people just from a phone. And I will not be able to cover enough ground in speaking to 100 people in a day where I could just sit at a desk at a laptop and reach 100, or even there are some people. Look at people like Zanetta, for instance, and I just use an example. He used to be in the streets of New York City, yeah, I think Brooklyn or wherever he was, and trying to raise political consciousness and awareness. Sanetta would not have an audience of 1,000 plus people, the kind of focused audience that he does right now, just sitting on his laptop on the internet right now every week. Thousands of people come and visit him from all over the world, not only in New York City. And I think that yes, the local is strategic, it is smart, but I think that for us to run away from the fact that there's a technological impact. You multiply yourself through using automation. You multiply who you could reach through automation. I am not taking away from local connections and making getting people politically conscious on the ground and things of that nature. But I can't ignore the fact that automation has multiplied your message, and where your message is being able to be permeated and reached. Tariq Nasheed, for right or wrong, he has been able to build a organization, whether people could say it's internet or not, where he was able to reach hundreds and thousands of people. So is ADOS. Success leave clues. That message might be perverse, but they do it through automation. Every business that you walk into right now, I could assure you, you will see the secretary looking at a phone. You will see the workers looking at their phone. You would see even the boss, if you go into his office, he looking at his phone too. They are affected by automation, and they may be receiving messages from all over the globe. Your feet only could walk so far. I live 21/7. I've done that before. I see that strategically I can be more effective in using my voice and projecting it with a wider scope. You know what I mean? And even so, even on a level of making the camaraderie, people who are at the level where you could have certain kinds of conversations, they may not necessarily be immediately around you. You have to go looking for them. And sometimes they are not in your general vicinity. You have to be expansive in how you embrace and approach the world. Why reject technology? Why reject automation when it can be useful? It has its uses. And I think that yes, local is brilliant, it's good. Like I say, I would never run away from that. But I think that black folks, we are leery and embracing the next level, and the next level or next phase of how we get together collectively. And like I say, if you walk in most of these business offices, the young people looking at their phones, they're influenced by what the content on their phones, you know. But that's how I look at the world. I would just couple the two together. I just wouldn't use not like the brother was saying. Trigger happy. I think the approach should be layered. It shouldn't just be one approach. The approach should be layered, and I agree with that statement. But I'll leave it there, Koku.
I appreciate that, Buana. Yeah, Trigger Happy had a comment that I personally agree with too. He said it should be layered, everything from entertainment through our more advanced technological processes. I also think another question is how limited is your locale when media processes are stronger now? Earlier, Afro Native World said, I asked my teenage son, and he said through music, anime, and gaming. And that's where my approach is kind of shifting to that area, to the creative side. I think there's work to be done in organizing creatives with a message to propagandize our own people. KW7 said the only thing that will teach our people is concepts. That's an interesting comment. Jai, again, haven't seen you around for a while, says constantly challenge their frame of thinking. He says asking why they think what they think. He's talking about how you approach folks in the community. Lastly, Trigger Happy says the pile of a tree used to serve this purpose for Africans. Yes. The goal also, he says, should be for the local to be interconnected to the global. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, all of you so far are just nailing this thing on the head. Let's hear from Bakari. I know Bakari is big on stomping the streets. Bakari, what's up?
What's up? I'm gonna be honest. You're gonna have to ask the question again. Oni and Bawana gave some very long answers. I forgot the question.
Basically,
I hope your big friggin' country self is listening to what I had to say.
But seriously, I'm gonna tell you, and this is an opportunity to be honest with you. I'm gonna pat myself on the back with this. In all honesty, we have to be able to get. How you want to reach our people, reach the youth? We have to be able to give solutions. Stop complaining about how powerful white people is. They're so racist and they do this and they do that. Soon as
Bakari, your volume dropped. Okay.
Yeah, hear me?
Yeah.
Because my phone. That's why. I'm sorry about that. But give solutions. Talk about what we can do and what we need to do. Show what we can do. And that's I'm gonna pat myself on the back. You know, I was in the store the other day. Me and my lady, we was in the store, and this young man walked up to me. He's 26 years old. He knew who I was from he knew who I was from Facebook. Let me say from YouTube. He knew who I was from YouTube. And he was like, he appreciated my channel, showed me he was subscribed to my channel, because I don't sit here and just talk about white folks. I do solutions. And actually then I be in the streets talking to the youth. 2 days later, another guy, 25 years old, walked up to me and did the exact same thing. We have to get solutions. We have to stop making white people God. We have to start speaking. Y'all fight when we do the propaganda to propagandize, to put people on a pedestal, put black people on a pedestal. When I say the black woman is God, too many black men want to fight that. So if we want to reach them, we have to do solutions and be able to give something to our people, not just talk. And of course, pound the pavement. I hear the mic.
Yeah, we need to get back to you and your lady who was going somewhere, because I don't. This is a new lady kind of. So we need to focus on that in a little bit, though. I'll leave it.
Yeah, Bakari been absent for a little while, so it's a new lady, huh? All right. Black Steel, I'll let you have the last word here.
So one thing I would say in our history is that one thing I gotta say about white people, black people came to consciousness. We were revolutionized based on how white people treated us. It wasn't some black person who had to come and say something. It was black people who were smart enough to look at the system, see how they were treated, see how their parents and their grandparents, their great grandparents were treated, and it galvanized them to action. And I think that our enemy is very subtle in the way he applies his wicked ways. But I think you got to have a mixture of both. You got to have online. You gotta use the internet. You know, you can literally reach every place on the globe right now. If I was at some base in Antarctica, I wanted to listen to the Bit of Medicine podcast. As long as they got a Wi-Fi connection, I can do that. That's a tool we got to use. But at the same time, we cannot neglect grassroots organizing, and we also can't neglect the needs of our people, which is why Kwame Ture was always so big on organizations, joining organizations, creating organizations, because you're able to get more done when you're organized. You're able to direct movements. You're able to plan strategy. You're able to help meet the material needs of the black people in your neighborhood. It's hard to reach people and talk to them about political education when they're hungry, or they're worried about where their next meal's coming from, or how they will keep up their apartment, or how they're going to get their medication they need to live. So I think that one thing about that I always admired, especially about the Panthers and other people, is how they really took an effort to meet the material needs of the people in their community. I think that's something that has to be done on the grassroots. At the same time, you got to have a propaganda system that can only come about through organizations, large organizations. The only thing with that is that when we have had black organizations, especially let's just talk about Black Lives Matter, that so-called black organization was pocketing the money and making cooking shows in some mansion. So we still organization is good, but the organization has to be accountable to the people, and it has to be an organization that has real political education, not twerking in front of cops like they was doing in the protests and all throughout the beginning of this decade. That can't be. But it does have to be a good mix organization, media apparatus. You gotta counter all the bullshit we're being taught. It's election year coming up. You're gonna hear a lot of shit. It's gonna get really, really bad. We gotta be on top. You gotta be ready. You gotta be on top of that. You gotta be ready to counter that. But it's gotta be the organization at the grassroots level and on the international level. Take advantage of this um, web of the World Wide Web. You got too many people out here saying nonsense. You got black people talking about we're not even from Africa. We're the fucking aliens, or we're some goddamn Native Americans, some shit. Counter that. The ADOS bullshit is constantly. And one thing about them, you don't really, if you're not online, you don't hear 'em. I asked my mom right now about ADOS, she wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but she's not online like that. But that type of rhetoric, that divisive, anti-black, anti-African rhetoric, I challenge those fuckers every chance I get. Not for my help, but because somebody is who may watch this, who may be watching and seeing that shit, and that doesn't sound right. Constantly challenging that, creating organizations online, offline, meeting the material needs of our people. That's where we got to start. I'll leave it there.
I appreciate that. That was a good discussion, folks. Good discussion. Let's go to Shooter Breeze topic number 2.
Cool. Before you continue, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm gonna. I thank you for letting me speak, man. Peace to everybody, the panel in the chat. I'm gonna step down, man. I'm about to go to this. I'm about to go to this fight party at this African restaurant. So I'm gonna listen till I get there. I'm about to go. Yeah, I'm about to go to this fight party.
Yeah, I hope you wear that members only jacket.
Yeah, I got that members only jacket. The same kind y'all still wearing in the Bahamas. But look, man, it was good listening. But I'm gonna keep listening. But I'm gonna step off. I'm getting dressed. I'm gonna listen. But I just want to let you know that. Peace out.
Yes, sir. Let's go to Shooter Breeze topic number 2 tonight. Again, real good discussion, gentlemen. This one is kind of a long one, I guess. Shooter Breeze topic number 2 says, "Is this woman white or black? Is Black American a legitimate identity if those who classify it as white or look white can identify as Black American? Can Black people with white family members be trusted?" This came, of course, with not only one link, but several links. So let me go to the first one. It's taking us to Twitter. A tweet from DePate says, "When FBA and pro-blacks clash with Louisiana folk," laughing emoji, "she's right. She's still invited to the crawfish boil." Let's see. Let's play the video and see what she's talking about.
Let's do some educate black. Did I say my parents weren't black? No. So where'd you get that from? TikTok, this is for educational purposes only. Let me school you on something about Louisiana folks. So first off, my parents was born in the 50s. And because you had the 1% rule, I know. They, on their birth certificates, says colored. What does colored mean? A plethora of colors. But colored also back in the day meant black. So if both my parents have colored on their birth certificates, don't they mean they colored, they black, according to the government? So try again with your comment. Thank you.
All right, so that's one video. There's another was submitted. Let me see. My computer's acting crazy right now. Okay, so here's the other link. It says it's from Leia from the Himalayas. It says, "Oh, it gets better," in parentheses worse. This is her mama and daddy. Like, so this is, I guess, that same woman's mother. I think that's the same woman down here. And this is her daddy, right? Look like two white folks to me. It comes with another link. Let me grab it real quick. That's going to take us back to Twitter again. Let me set it up. So we're back on Twitter with this one. It's taking a second. Hold on. So we're here. This post is from Manny. It says, "I'm so tired. This all started because her hair is curly, and now she's convinced she's a fucking black woman. And her parents are white Creoles. I don't give a fuck about none of that family shit. You are white. As generations go on, the gene pool gets wiped and swirled." So let's see what this video is dealing with.
Cool, the volume, the volume.
Kind of low key thanks. I'm tired of that dumbass broad.
It might be pretty good that we can't hear her.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired of her. Nah, fuck her crocodile tears.
Thank you,
She's a white woman.
It sounds like you guys couldn't hear it. Was that the case?
Yeah, we could not hear it. No.
We were thanking you for that. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Well, I guess I won't play the rest of that. I don't know why you guys couldn't hear it. Let me get back to the prompt itself. So should it be something number 2? Is this woman white or black? Is Black American a legitimate identity if those who classified as white or black as white or look white can identify as Black American? Can black people with white family members be trusted? I'll be curious to hear you guys' thoughts on this. Let me start with Oni. Oni, what say you?
Yeah, obviously that's a white woman. I mean, I mean, everybody know that's a white woman. I think Afro Native just made an interesting comment and said that white folk would lynch you if this woman said she was white, but that don't mean she wasn't white. That just means that white folk would lynch her if she said she was white, you know? But the thing is this. You can't have an identity. Like the trouble with America is that the identity is so attached to whatever white folk think. You know? Basically, the white man says, here's a trash can, right? Or there's whites, then there's colors. Colors is a trash can. Whites is American. You know, whites are Americans, colored are the trash can. And black folks said, oh, that's me. We the trash can. Anybody who's not in, you know, it's kind of like, I think somebody was making a reference the other day. They said, who was I watching? But they were saying in Do the Right Thing, you know, there's a scene that's based off of another scene where these Chinese people were like, what color too? You know what I mean? And then black folk didn't harass the Chinese people, right? And of course, this is based off of, I think, inside the LA riots, there were Chinese people standing up saying, hey, we're colored too, don't bother us. And black folk were like, yeah, they're us too. And of course, you know, if one of them Chinese people, you know, decided to be silly, they would say, hey, I'm black because back in 1847 I was considered colored. No. And I think another part that we don't really remember is that Creole never meant black. It just meant that um, you were a part of a community that was colonized by the French people as opposed to the English people. And so you would have a more French-like culture or France-like Francophile culture with its own Francophile schemes, and for the most part, you would have for the Creole people particularly um, that mixed people were considered different from Black people. Okay, so if you were Creole, you were not Black, you were mixed. But the thing is that America has this unique history where, they quote unquote one drop rule, or quote unquote anybody, like basically everybody's trash except for white folk. Whereas the French and the British would say, "Oh no, there's Black people, there's mixed people, and there are white people." And not saying that they didn't think that Black people weren't trash. Of course they did, but they also said, a mixed person's a little better than a Black person. Whereas, America said, no, they're not. And that's really all it comes back to. So when you have these two cultures, like basically you just come into a different culture, and at this point when we're in a broader, like what happens is that America was very isolated for a while. The Creole people were really isolated for a while, and then now we're the Creole people are being exposed to the America at large, and America is being exposed to the globe at large. And what we're seeing is that the definitions that you use in your little circle and your little nation just doesn't apply to reality. The woman is a white woman who might have faced some sort of discrimination from, in Louisiana, or her ancestors might have experienced some sort of discrimination in Louisiana a long time ago for being mixed, but mixed isn't Black. And it's just at 2024, you cannot, it's kind of like the discussion earlier about, local versus internet or whatever, or global, right? At some point you got to concede to what the global narrative is. You can't necessarily isolate yourself and say otherwise. So yeah, I think America generally, Black Americans generally, and also Caribbeans obviously, generally have like a lot of admixture. But then this is not even an example of that. This is an example of there were white people who who white people just didn't accept for their for whatever reason, but that doesn't change biology. They were 99% like they were as put it differently. Obama's mother is descended from John Punch. Okay, John Punch is one of the first quote unquote African Americans, or one of the first Africans enslaved in America. Um, she was obviously a white woman, and Barack Obama was obviously not, an African American in that sense. So I think that, oh yeah, well, the one drop rule, like that's just a stupid, just stupidity in 2024.
I appreciate that. Only I didn't expect you to end right there. With that said, let's go to Buana. Buana, what say you?
I think that the problem for me is I do not have an American perspective. That one drop rule never applied in the Caribbean. Coco, as good as well as I do, what is a conky Joe? A conky Joe is a person who may have white parents and things like that, but they have African ancestry. So therefore they are not white. They are not white. So if you look at the American census right now, how it's categorized and things like that, one of the questions they say is, are you Black, African American, or of African ancestry? When you put African ancestry on that, you would be able to categorize yourself as Black. As Black. that is it's just a difficulty for me from where I stand, from my spectacles, because in my society is a little bit different. Just like Anthony McFall. Anthony McFall will tell you, he is from Louisiana. He break down and the term Creole. He said that Creole meant someone who came from France and married a person who may have been from America. A white person may have been from America and they had children. That was what would be considered as Creole. That was one definition he get. Then another definition in terms of Louisiana, he said that those same Frenchmen would have a relationship with a black person, and then that black person and that French person had a child. Therefore, that person was Creole. So they had two definitions going for what Creole means. I hope he comes on to really clear up, because he did give a definitive definition in terms of Louisiana and that term Creole and where that came from. But I am saying that from where I stand and where the Caribbean stands, that definition in terms of blackness is a very skewed thing, because we don't follow that one drop rule shit. We don't follow that one drop rule shit. If you are black in your family and shit like that, in my mind, you're a black person to me. You are a non-white person to me. You are a non-white person to me. So where do you fit? Ultimately, at the end of the day, I go off for not only skin color and look-see business. I go off on the mentality of the person, the culture of the person, and how they are fixed in this world. Because you have some so-called mulattoes who are passing, that they have consciously chosen to accept the so-called white side of their family and be white. And then you have some black people, you have some so-called mulatto people who say, I'm a black, like Bob Marley and thing. So I'm a black man, period. End of story. We ain't got a conversation no more. So for me, that term, I don't know, man. That term is kind of skewed to me, but I do not see the world through the spectacle of my Black American brothers, where they have a one drop rule test in their minds. So we just have a different thing going on in our head, because when I see this woman with her flat nose and shit like that, she look like a black woman to me. Now, her immediate family, her dad and her mom, they look white to me, but what do their granddad them look like? What about their great granddad? This is what the Dominicans be running on with their nonsense, but I know black and shit like that. Because if you go down deep enough into their ancestry, my black granddad and my black grandma will go jump out of the picture. So where you gonna put you? Because you ain't white, you ain't a Spaniard. So what are you? So like I say, man, it becomes a different kinds of conversation when you extend that conversation globally, rather than just remain it in the box of North America, I think. But I'll leave it there.
I think one of the issues becomes, and I think the prompt may be hinting at that a bit. I think one of the issues is that you are easily infiltrated when you accept any and everybody as black. So, for example, I peeped this recently. Rachel Dolezal. There's a reason why Rachel Dolezal was able to get away with that shit for a while, because she's not pasty white. She has a little tan or whatever. She has a little shape, right? Go and check that out, by the way. She has a little shape on her. Wow. And by the time she puts on a little kinky weave or kinky wig or whatever, some tight pants and high heels. Yeah, and she says she's black. Yeah, people will take her as black. And the problem is with that is if they're not aligned with us in any way, and so therefore they can be, very traitorous towards us.
But Koku, can I offer this quickly, and I'll start quickly. I don't consider. See, the problem with that is I don't consider Jesse Lee Peterson black. I don't consider Candace Owens black. I don't consider them black people. You think I consider them? That's a laugh. Because they have skin. This is a fact. This is my mind. See, because you are saying in terms of loyalty and treacheryness, based off of skin complexion. No, brother. Not in my mind. In my mind, they are not black. They are not. They don't qualify as black to me. You know what I mean? So this is my problem. This is the difficulty that I am having. Because just because they have a skin complexion, that don't mean General Michael Langley is not a black man. That is a white man in black face. And I'm confused about that. You know, but like I said, I just wanted to, and just to give my 2 cents, I'll leave it. Sorry, Odie, for interrupting you, brother. Sorry.
I think you interrupted me actually, but yeah, 2 things can be true. The black folks who are dark skinned, etc., they can be sellouts and could be excommunicated from the community as well. But also, what I'm trying to get at is, if you allow these folks who are mulattoes, who are, you know, you can't see a black person in their recent lineage, but there's some black guy, some great grandfather who was black. If you allow some of these folks around us, what I'm trying to get at is, of course they're going to sabotage you, right? Whereas with black folks, we have to see what you're talking about, what you're dealing with, what you're on, like Candace Owens, Jesse Peterson, right? Once you hear them talking, then you know, oh, they're not a part of us. But we should be looking at the Rachel Dolezals of the world, the Obamas of the world. We should be looking at them skeptically from the jump. Well, that's one of the things that fooled me with Obama, actually. I'm here thinking this is a black president. He's going to come in and do something for black folks in America. And then I had to realize, and this is where I'll give the FBA and the ADOS types their credit. I had to realize that, this dude wasn't really black. And he didn't see himself as ADOS or FBA or black or whatever. And so he did nothing for his folks. He did nothing for the people that look like you and me. And that's because, and the reason why we were let down is because we had hopes, and we shouldn't have had hopes if we understood that this guy wasn't really a black guy. Same thing with Kamala Harris, right? That's why we were let down so bad, because we accepted that kind of person as black, and I think we have to tighten up on what is black. Personally, I think we have to tighten up on what is black. Let's welcome in Anthony McPhail this week. Anthony, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, man? How y'all doing, man?
Good. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah, man. I was sorry I was late, man. I was gonna try to get some stuff out the way, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, this I mean, hey, man, how everybody else doing, man? Let's meet y'all. Oh, they can't hear
What's going on, Anthony?
How you doing? Good to hear from you.
Yeah.
Good to hear you, man.
Yeah, all right. Hey, that I seen this growing up, all my life, man, here in Louisiana. Like that woman right there, and man, tell the truth, I'm tired of hearing her tears. But yeah, we like growing up in school, like we had people like that in our classroom, in the neighborhood. We had a term, we used to call them Frenchmen. Cause see, like in that whole Creole term, it's a real tricky thing, like here in Louisiana. Like, for example, some people, when they hear Creole, they think, somebody like her, like a mixed race person. And then some people, think of something okay, I'll give it to you this way. This is what a Creole is. A Creole is like French people or Spanish people. It could even be English people, any European that came over here as colonizers. You know what I'm saying? They say they settled in the state of Louisiana. No, they set up a colony here, and then say they had family. They brought their wives over, and then they had children. Okay, now those children would be called Creoles. It's really they people of French descent or people of Spanish descent, European descent, but like they was born here in the colonies, like they was born here in Louisiana, like their parents were from Europe somewhere, but they were born here, so that's a Creole. But see now, in Louisiana, where it gets sticky at is right here. In Louisiana, like Louisiana was colonized by the French and the Spanish. Now, of course, the French, and the Spaniards, about they enslaved Africans here. Now, a lot of the Frenchmen, they did a lot of raping of African women, and sometimes they had, these master slave relationships on the plantation, and they had children with African women. Now, in New Orleans specifically, there were so many of these people that they became a group of people. These you had the French Creoles, who were the white people, and then you had these Creoles of mixed race, which they had a term for them. In Louisiana, they was known as the gens de couleur, which it meant really Creoles of color, people of color. And they became like a class. So you had the French people, the French Creole population, and then you had the gens de couleurs in the middle, just mixed race people, and then you had the Africans at the bottom. And in Louisiana, they had this rigid caste system. It was a rigid racialized caste system, like you might see in the Dominican Republic. And those people, the people of color, these gens de couleur, they got where they started speaking French and adopting French names and a French culture. And they really thought they was French, and they separated themselves from the blacks. They didn't want to have nothing to do with no black people. They didn't want to have nothing to do with black people. They were a separate class, and they really thought. And they always looked at themselves that way. Now, where I live at in Shreveport, it's a city about 50, 60 miles south of Shreveport. It's called Natchitoches. You ever heard of Natchitoches, Louisiana?
No, I never heard of it.
Okay, Natchitoches, Louisiana. It was like the first place.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, okay. It's famous for these meat pies. They got to call it Natchitoches meat pie. But anyway, Natchitoches was either the first or second town, settled by the French in Louisiana. It was right there with New Orleans. I don't know if New Orleans was first, but I think Natchitoches was first. And it was like the furthest north that the French had settled in Louisiana. Okay, so they settled this town called Natchitoches, and it was the same dynamic. You had the French people who were the planters, the planter class, the plantation class, and you had the enslaved Africans, and they had the same dynamic, of these French slave masters raping African women and having relations with African women, and they created another class, and they still in Natchitoches right now today, and they call them the Cane River Creoles. And that lady right there in the video, she looked just like one of them. They call them Cane River Creoles, and they are right there today. I have a female cousin. She actually had married one. His name was Felix Matoya from Natchitoches, Louisiana. My cousin married her. And so, and like I said, if she looked, those Cane River Creoles look just like her. And like for the longest time, even when I was in school, man, I can remember, they didn't fool with black people. They always married among themselves, like that, or they'll marry somebody white. But they didn't want to have nothing to do with no black people. You know what I'm saying? It's a funny thing here in Louisiana. We had all kind of, we had down here, they had a society called the Red Bone Society. But these people like her, where they had towns in South Louisiana where they stayed together and away from black folks. It was a real thing. But the way I look at it, when I look at her, just the way I look at her, I just like, she's, of course, it's obvious that you can see she has some features, where you can say, well, she had some African ancestry somewhere. But I don't play that one drop road, man. I don't play it. Because I think, like I say, it seems like they always come back to bite your ass in the end. Good, I'll leave it at that, man.
I appreciate that, Anthony, for the lesson there too. I appreciate that. Let's welcome in mute your mic there, Anthony.
Okay, my bad.
Let's welcome in Kofi this week. Kofi, have you been paying attention to the prompt?
No, I'm not. I just came in. I'm trying to catch up. But from what Anthony said, it's pretty much we're talking about mulattoes and mixed race people.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. So maybe you just hang tight. Let's get to the next panelist who's here for it, because it's about this this woman who's Creole who's been arguing on the internet that she's black, etc.
Well,
So
I could give up. I can speak to that. I guess that's because I'm pretty sure whatever the context is now. I mean, on my channel, I did a video about mixed race people, and I heard you talking about Obama and how Obama fooled us. Our problem is that us as black people in the diaspora, we look at the world through the lens of our current or former slave masters, right? When we see black people, right, we don't see mixed people like how the rest of the world sees mixed people. We see mixed people according to how white people see mixed people. If you were to have, and I've seen this, if you were to have a white person that's white and the other one is Chinese, they go to their Chinese side, they're not going to call them 100% Chinese. They go to their white side, they're not going to call them 100% white. They're going to, on both sides, they're going to call them mixed. Black people are the only, this is plantation math. You have black, you're 100% black. You have Chinese, you're 100% black. Like, it makes no sense. And then the ingenious thing about that, when what white people did that, is to make sure secure their numbers, to make sure that their group is not infiltrated. We don't realize that. The easiest group of people that infiltrate is black people. It's all you got. All a nigga gotta do is dance real well, know a song, know how to do the electric slide. All of a sudden, they're welcome to the barbecue. There's no red line or anything. It's a very low bar to be a part of black people. So when someone says, like her, a Creole or someone that's half black or whatever, fine. I'm not saying you can't be a part of the black community. I'm not saying that, because you can't help who your mother or your father is. But they should be a standard. They should be a way of a passage to say, like, okay, this person is half white, but they claim to be black. Let's look at their works. Let's look at what they're saying. We don't do that, So, and when it comes to her, when she says, "Well, I'm black because I'm my great grandfather," I don't care. Even my mother or father is black. That doesn't matter. Is what are you saying? Like, what's her name from Blackish? The Tracy Ellis Ross. Tracy Ellis Ross, her father is white, and Diana Ross is her mother, and she's black. That woman is a black woman, right? Another example, Mariah Carey. If anyone know about Mariah Carey or saw the documentary about her, when she was coming out, Mariah Carey, I thought Mariah Carey was white. If you didn't tell me Mariah Carey is mixed, I wouldn't know. On a documentary she was doing, she was first coming out, her first album, she grew up watching hip hop. She liked hip hop. When she wanted to put a hip hop album, all the white people were saying, "No, why you want to do that hip hop stuff, that black stuff, and all this other stuff? Don't do that. That's gonna taint your image." Mariah Carey fought. She's like, "I do not care. This is my album," and that's how she got that album with her and ODB, right? She fought for that. So as white as Mariah Carey is, I have a lot of respect for Mariah Carey, because these are people. These are mulattoes that they claim themselves to be black, and they put themselves and their career on the line. So that's how we should be measuring mixed people, even black, 100% black people. But that's how we should measure mixed people. When someone say they Creole or whatever, yeah, your eyebrows should raise, but at the same time, they have to prove themselves. And I end it right there.
I appreciate that, Kofi. Thanks for coming through, by the way. You guys make sure to subscribe to Kofi, the Black Critics YouTube channel, if you haven't already. Black Steel, you've heard everything everyone else had to say. What say you to this?
A lot of good comments. I remember something Steve Biko said. He said, "Being black is not a matter of pigmentation. Being black is a reflection of mental attitude." And I think that's a very good point. So Anthony McPhail, when he brought up how the Creoles and other different classifications of black exist in French society, it's very similar to how it was done in Latin America. So Just like you had the white people who were born in Europe, born in Spain. They were called Peninsulares. Then you had the Creoles, white people who were born in the colonies. Then you had mestizos, those who were mixed with white and indigenous ancestry. You had the mulattoes mixed with white and black. Then you had the Native Americans. At the very bottom of the group, you had the black people. So they had a very stratified society, and I believe that was reflected in French society as well. In Haiti before the revolution, Saint Domingue, it was done that way. In other French colonies as well as. But when you come to British America, you don't see that same stratification. You only see black, white. That's all you see. So you start to see that if you hear the so-called one drop rule. If you have one drop of black blood, that makes you black. That's how they classified it. But then also too, um, what makes somebody white? Because so the idea of whiteness is in itself an invention. Because before white people crossed the Atlantic, and then there's a really good book by Dr. Gerald Horn called "The Apocalypse of the Apocalypse of Settler Colonialism." Um, White people, when they were in Europe, they weren't white. They were English, they were French, they were Scottish, they were German, they were Welsh. When they crossed the Atlantic, all these different groups of of Europeans, they meld together to become white. This idea of whiteness. Um, Now becomes on the scene historically. Before that, they were by their culture, by their country, or by their language groups. That's what they identified of. But then you start, okay, now we're white, and as history goes on, you start to see more and more people assimilated. To his point, to build up their numbers. So now, when you have the first waves of European immigrants coming from Ireland, like the Irish potato famine, the Irish weren't white. They called them white niggers. They had every derogatory slur for the Irish people. But what happens over time? The Irish become assimilated. Now they're white. The Italians coming over in the late 19th, early 20th century, they got all type of names for them, guineas and all other type of insulting nicknames. All of a sudden, okay, now they're assimilated. Now they're white people. You can see the same thing with the Latinos. You see a lot of these white people in these white supremacist group all have Spanish surnames. They're brown skinned Cubans. The Cubans come over here. They get over time. They get assimilated into whiteness. They marry a white woman. Next generation, their kids are white. Now, that almost cleanses the white people have it set to where they can increase their number. There's a painting called The Redemption of Ham about this black woman from Brazil who's praising God and her daughter married a white man, and the baby come out lighter than she was. She's happy for this because now this means this child can move up further in the class stratification. You don't have that in at least in the United States. You don't have that buffer class. Even in South Africa, you have the blacks, the Africans, you have the colors, which are mixed race, you have the Indians. So they were able, and white people do this very intentionally as a way to play different groups off of each other. Take advantage of that division. They've always been able to do that. Looking at this woman, you know, I would not classify her as a black person. She opened her mouth. She wanted to claim black people. People want to claim blackness when it's convenient for them. Now back in the day, she would have never wanted to be claimed black because Louisiana was segregated. She would have had to ride in the back of the bus. In fact, there's a famous Supreme Court case, Plessy versus Ferguson, that was dealt with a black man wanting to ride on segregated railroad cars. This was the Supreme Court case that basically legalized separate but equal back in 1897. The black man in question, Mr. Plessy, was 7/8 white. He could easily pass for a black man, for a white man, if he wanted to. But he chose to bring that case to the Supreme Court because of the laws that were in place. And he lost the case. It later got reversed with Brown versus Board of Education, but whatever. But this man was 7/8 white. So you look at him, you would never have been able to tell this person was a white man. I mean, was a black man. But at the same time, this ability for whiteness to kind of adapt and change and shift. Black people, we and to the point of the other poster saying we see ourselves through the eyes of the colonizer. We don't really have fast rules to say who's black and who's white. I've heard some black people go as far as to say if if your mama's not white, not if your mother's not black, you're not black. If your dad is not black, you're not black. If you didn't come out of a black woman's vagina, you're not black. And I've heard people say that, but there's really no culture-wide mechanism to where we can enforce that. Me myself, looking at this person, I would not call her a black woman. But again, your blackness is more than just your skin pigmentation. It's how you think, it's how you move, it's how you interact with your people. Um, what's the one chick who married fucking Prince? Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle got a black mom. Her mama got dreads. But if she's never claimed to be black. She always says, I'm biracial. She's never said, I'm a black woman. Okay, I respect that. Like Dr. John Henry Clark said, if you go over there, you stay over there. When all this shit was happening with her in England, they was treating her and her new baby like shit. You gotta hold that, boo. You can't come back over here. Because you said you're not black, you're biracial. So you need to get your support from the biracial community. Wherever they are, stand on business. That's what you need to associate with. Um, that being said, um, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. But let me get back on point. This woman, you can't pick and choose. I'm black one day, I'm Creole the next day, whatever. Whatever your racial classifications is more than just your skin color. All right. Um, it's how you think, it's how you interact with the world. Um, and many times there's a lot of black people who have passed in society. You know, they passed over, they've been able to escape the blackness, air quotes, and live a life as a white person because it was beneficial for them to do so. And just like these people are able to claim blackness when there may be some benefits for them to do so as well. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Black Steel. Is there any last on this prompt?
Yeah, Black Steel. You dropped a lot of gems. I like that. Only thing I kind of want to push back on a little bit is that the creation of race and black and white. You're right. Before the Europeans discovered Brazil and the New World and Hispaniola and all that, it was by clan. It was Irish, Celts, Gauls, Saxons, Anglos. That's true. They created race only to put themselves on top because now they entered the world. They're out of Europe and they entered the global community. And to them to reconcile what they were doing, manifest destiny, manifest destino, they had to put themselves on top to say, well, this is what we're doing. This is right. So when the Italians came in and the Irish came in, yeah, they still had that old world mentality because, again, they still had that tribal mentality in Europe. Then eventually it was like, wait, we're here in America with black people, right? It makes no sense for us to have that old world mentality when we're in America. We can't have this Anglo-Saxon mentality. So we have to take in the Celts. We gotta take in the Scots. We gotta take in the Ingles. We gotta take in the Guineas. We gotta take in all, and that's what they could do. So eventually they pass for being white, even though they are white. They were always white. So you have to think that we have to think that just because they're classified as, even though we're classified as white, right? We know phenotypically they are white, right? So what black people have to do also is we can never pass. So so people like Nick Fuentes, the well-known Nazi that, like you were saying, that has a Spaniard last name, he could pass for white, right? But it's okay. He's a white Spaniard, right? Someone like that looks like Celia Cruz, or someone that's dark skinned, or someone like a Tim Scott or a Candace Owens will never be accepted as white. They will always be a tool because it's two things that are in play here. Yes, you bowed a knee down to white supremacy, but you're not white. No one could procreate with you and get white people. So as much as they bow down to white people, they'll never be accepted as a particular class of whiteness. Someone like a Creole or someone from the Boulay, because they have that complexion. Well, you know what? I could breed out this particular, like a Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle to me looks like a white woman. No one didn't tell me different. It's easier to breed that out. Her child looks white, right? So you'll always be my point. Basically, saying bringing it home is that they will never be accepted as white, as far as like being white, like they did with the Irish and they did with the Italians. Pretty much, that's all I have to say.
I want to be quick. I'll be quick, Coco. The Bitter Medicine podcast is such just very good brain food, man. You gotta come to the Bitter Medicine podcast because the conversation you have is so brilliant. But let me just say this: I would want to acknowledge Black Steel's statements because his statements are very concise, very erudite, brilliant. But his perspective is a North American one in terms of defining blackness, and that he's just talking of his experience. And I have no problem with that. But I am reminded by people like Dessalines. Dessalines, after the Haitian Revolution, who did he say was black people? He said that the blacks was blacks and the Polish who helped them in the revolutions was blacks. So he said the French was white and the Polish was blacks. So his in terms of the categorization of blackness, what blackness was in terms of how he defined it when they had control over Haiti, Polish was black people too. So that definition changed in terms of when the black man was looking at the spectacles. He said, well, who working with me? Who trying to get free like me? Who trying to get busy like me? So there was honorary white black folks at the time. So I'm just saying that when we extend the idea of blackness, and I ain't saying white people is black people, I just say that when we extend the idea of blackness beyond the borders of North America, I just want to put on the table or just even plant the seed that definition may change. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying because
I'm saying that would be an ally. That would be an ally because they are not genetically black in any way. Just like here in North America, before slavery became official, it was indentured servitude, and you have black people and white people at that time fighting, the system.
Yeah, I want to say I think your brother got cut off, Kofi. I think he got cut off. I don't know if you finished though. But
no,
what I want to say,
I'm done.
Okay, I appreciate it. So what I was saying was, you have to go back to whether black is a political, I just had the word classification, or whether black is a genetic orientation, right? And the reality is that in the global context, like when you're talking on a global scale, you have to go to the objective scientific classification. On a local scale, you can say, white guy helps me out, and I'm like, yo, this guy's a part of my family now. Like, he's not really a part of my family. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say that either. No white guy. I mean, even a white guy helped me out, I'm not gonna say that. But what I'm saying is that you could politically, you could have some sort of political authority and say, this guy's a family member now. Kind of like, I'll put it this way. If a neighbor kid, continually comes to your house, you're like, oh, that's my brother, or that's my sister, or that's my cousin, or some shit like that, right? He's not your brother, sister, or cousin. Okay, and then particularly in Africa, you'll hear people saying that's my brother, sister, cousin, but they're not really your brother, sister, cousin when you go to the objective scientific standard when you get to a global audience, right? So as a political classification, when Dessalines says the Polish are whites, at that point in time, the Haitians were killing the white people in Haiti, and they were killing the white people in Haiti. Okay, put it that way. And basically, he was saying, well, we're not going to kill the Polish, so just consider them black for the time being. Now, they were not black, but as a political statement, if you say, let's kill all the white folk, and then there are some white folk there who are like, hey, we helped you in the war, he's like, okay, well, not these white folk. Well, they're black, okay? You know, just like a joke, more or less. But it's a political classification. So this woman, you know, as Afro-Native has pointed out, this woman, her family, once upon a time, would be classified politically as colored, okay? Not as black, but as colored, right? As to say that they were tinted, you know what I mean? Politically. Does that mean that they were not genetically white? No, because again, if you you know, I think Bonner made the joke earlier about plantation math. But if you look at the freaking plantation math, you have one of these presidents, Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson literally wrote inside of his book. I didn't read it, but I hear that he wrote in his book, Notes of Virginia, how to breed out white folk, breed out black folk. He says, look, after 3 generations with white people, you could breed out the black blood, right? So if Thomas Jefferson understood, hey, you could breed out of people, you know, it really is really incumbent on us to say, and he was taking a more scientific point of view. It's really for us to say, okay, is there such a thing as somebody being 98% genetically white, and of course they can still be politically classified as colored, and that's okay. That's on the white people's behalf. But as far as if you were to be objective, this woman is a white woman. Okay, she's a white woman. She could pass for white. She probably couldn't pass for white in Louisiana, where they would look into her family history. But in 2024, she could just leave Louisiana, go to freaking, you know, I don't know, New York City, or go to, I don't know, wherever, go to freaking Europe, wherever. She could go to France, I don't know, right? Point is, she could go anywhere in the world and be a white person. She just chooses to be in a particular system that says, politically, we will classify you as non-white, as non-black because of what happened with, because basically one of our ancestors raped a black woman once upon a time. You know, but that's it. And you know, basically, you know, but again, you have to differentiate between what's the political classification and what's the genetic reality. The genetic reality is that this is a white woman. Could she politically be subjugated? Possibly. Could she culturally be more oriented? I don't even think that's the case here. I think that the Creole are really just a offshoot, like a French colony, like an offshoot of a French colony, and black people in modern day kind of took it upon themselves to think that Creole meant them when realistically it never meant them. I think it's just a big misunderstanding by modern day black people and modern people in general. But again, I think yeah. So that's how I would say is that no. You know, like, no, this is a white woman.
She's a white, but Oni, she's a white woman from where? Because if you Anglo-Saxons know other Anglo-Saxons, brother. You know, that's just if this lady was to go to England.
We're
Let
not
me finish. Let me finish.
No, I know what you said. What you said is, hey, white people said she's
You
not
say,
white. Okay, but
yes,
I'm
white
black.
people say she's not white. White people say
I'm
she's
black.
not white. And
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but okay,
I'm black. So what should black people say? What do white men do? No, we don't care what the white man thinks. What we have to say to ourselves is, what do we as black people think? Can you be white and burn in the sun? Can you be black and burn in the sun? No, I mean, unless you're albino, no.
So when you call her white, when you call it
I agree with that. I agree with that.
But when you call her white, what does that mean for you? What does that mean?
What do you mean? What does that mean? I mean, she's not black.
When you categorize her, when you categorize her as white, what does that mean? What comes after that? She's not a part of you. That's what you're saying. She don't. Okay.
I'm black. She's white. That's how it is. But like you got to say to yourself, what are you? Is she kinfolk? That's the question. And see, even when we go to the, hey, you know, her mindset is not, look, we don't even know her political affiliation. We don't even know if even if she was some sort of political radical, but she's not. She's just she's just alleging to be a Creole lady, right? But the Creole are not some sort of radical revolutionary group. They are a bunch of integrationists who interbreeded with themselves to destroy their genetic their genetic connection to Africa.
Yeah, but
They have
only I could say this.
and black people.
But only I could say the same thing with black folks. They have an integrationist mindset.
That's why
Who
it's
wants
not a political. That's why it's not a mindset. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a genetic reality. It's not a mindset. When you go into, hey, Candace Owens is not black because blah blah blah. We don't
Yeah,
know
she's
this
not
woman
black.
better than Candace Owens.
Oh,
There's no evidence that this woman is better than Candace Owens politically or culturally.
But you know, here's the thing though, the lines are blurred. So, like for example, right, if you saw an Australian Aboriginal person or somebody from Melanesia, from Papua New Guinea, they're darker than we are. Would you call them black?
Well, again, some people. So
Phenotypically.
Phenotypically, they are. They are,
No,
and in fact,
Indians too. Indians too, by the way. Indians too.
so those dark skinned Indians, the ones in the lower caste, the Dalits and the untouchables, they're black and they're blue, black, purple. So,
yeah, but no one sometimes
go
say
ahead.
black equals African. That's what I'm saying. So sometimes when we say black equals African, they're not classifying like sometimes. So when people say black, a lot of times what they mean is there's two different ways to look at it. You can look at it as a political orientation in America, right? In which case, Jamaicans, Caribbeans are not black, right? Or you could look at it as a racial group connected to Africa, in which case Caribbeans and Africans and African Americans are black. So it's like it really comes down to if you mean black as in black American, or do you mean black as in African racially? Otherwise, the other people you call them melanated. Now, here's the thing about this lady: she's not melanated. So she just so if black literally does mean dark skin. So like I said, in Jamaica, even somebody like me would be considered brown instead of black, because black would be the dark complected people, right? And I might have a dark complexion in America, but I'm not dark complected per se, right? But even so, what I'm saying is that and I mean, again, that's the complicated issue to it. But what I'm saying is that it really does correlate to a sort of melanin and skin color. But as far as what we're discussing, black really connects to, when we say black as in the quote unquote Pan-African circles, we're talking about a connection to Africa. Otherwise, if you're just saying black and you're in America, you really do just mean black Americans.
So politically Caribbean. You saying that politically Caribbean people are not black in terms of if they was in America?
No, I mean it depends on what you mean by black. If you're saying black as in because there's a black. There's different ways to use black, right? So once upon a time when America was very socially isolated, black just meant the other population besides from white. You know what I'm saying? Like in America, you had black and white as markers on the census, and it wasn't connected to it wasn't necessarily connected to Africa at large. Now, of course, you could have Negro, which was connected to Africa at large, right? And that's what people used to call African Americans. But you don't, so like, but really, it really comes to what are you? Who's eating? Like somebody really opened it around.
Yeah. Sorry, Doritos or something.
Taking the Doritos, right? But like, what I'm gonna say is that you could in some way say, like, it depends on how you're using the language, but you could say black means like is a local term for African Americans. Or you could use black as an international term for African people in general, right? Okay. But that's what you have to conflate the two. But this woman would not pass for either. She would not pass for African American or African.
Even politically.
Well, we don't know her politics, but I mean politically. Oh, sorry, the political classification. So allegedly for her, she would have passed for colored. Okay, colored was not black, but it was retroactively made black. Like in the last 20 years. You know what I mean?
I
But once upon a time, Creole, because I used to read about, like, we had books. We used to read some sort of books about Creole, and Creole was never considered black. It was considered non-black, but also non-white. But I think in 2024 we retroactively, like, some people misunderstood Creole as colored as black, or colored as black. Colored did not mean black. The Indians, the Native Americans were colored. The mixed people were colored. The Asians were colored, and the Africans were colored. It's just that if you look 30 years ago, America's population was 88% white and 12% African American, or 12%, black. So once upon a time, so like there was like 1%, 5% who were, 1% or, 0.5% that were Indian or this or that and so forth. And so, like again, if you retroactively say, okay, well, colored means black, then therefore this woman who is colored or who's mixed was black, then yeah, you could do that. But that's America as a political term. But again, in 2024, you can't use that colored, or like, they don't do that one drop rule anymore. It's just a really antedated thing connected to slavery, connected to white people raping black women and having children with them and saying, well, we're going to enslave those children too. It has nothing to do with America's society today, where it doesn't really, like where race is not, like, race is big, but it's not, it's not, we're going to enslave you big. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that big. It's not that big. Anyway, that's it.
All right, great conversation, guys. Thanks to everyone on the panel who contributed to that conversation. Thanks to everyone in the chat with all the comments and the conversations you guys were having. If you're listening to the playback, make sure, keep an eye out for the chat. Keep an eye out for the chat as well. I don't know if Anthony wanted to say something just now. I saw him looking to the camera. But if you want to, okay. So what we'll do, we'll go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 3. We're going to end at 11 p.m. Who knows? This might be the last topic for the night. Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 says, what's wrong with marrying a pole dancer? This came with a link that takes us to YouTube. Share my screen. We will watch this video and then we'll discuss it.
We can't hear it.
You guys can hear it?
Well, I don't know. Is there audio?
No, I can't hear anything either. No sound.
No sound. What the hell is going on here?
No, I think it's just the beginning. I think it's just the beginning of the video.
All right, let me try it one more time and see. You guys let me know if you can hear it. Hold on, let me share the screen. All right, let's try it again.
Notification bell so you get notifications when I drop a new video. Now let's get into this topic. All right, thanks for clicking on the video. Now this video is for educational purposes, and as I approach this topic.
All right, did you guys just hear the video just now?
Yes.
All right.
With respect, I want you all to please be respectful in my comment section. Thanks. All right, now this story comes out of New York. They're in Jersey now, but it started in New York, and I like New York, so we're going to stick with New York. It's a love story of a pastor and a pole dancer. A pastor and a pole dancer. Y'all take a breath. My Lord, what is the man of God going to do with a pole dancer? Smack it up, flip it, rub it down. Oh, no. I told y'all ain't nothing but a bunch of freaks in the Lord's church. Let me go on. Almost after a decade of on and off again dating, plus having a child during that time, Pastor Willie Dwayne Francois and his longtime fiancée, Delijah Amelia Franklin, recently got married. Better late than never. However, the road to the Chapel of Love did not come without criticism from some of their friends and many of the members of the congregation. Let me tell you the story. on a beautiful Sunday at First Corinthian Baptist Church in Harlem, New York. Shout out to all of my viewers and subscribers in all 5 boroughs in New York City, and I can't forget my people across the water over there in New Jersey. Now, on this particular Sunday, the young Pastor Willie delivered a powerful, riveting, captivating sermon that caught the attention of Sister Delija, the pole dancer. I mean, she was shook. And after service, Sister Delija was standing around outside the church talking with her friends, and she noticed that Pastor Willie was standing alone. And she wanted to tell him how moved she was by his sermon, but at first she was a bit intimidated. Intimidated because she was a pole dancer and the pastor was a learned man of God that started ministering at the age of 16 at First Union Baptist Church in his hometown of Galveston, Texas. Then he graduated from Morehouse College with a bachelor's degree in history and religion. Then he went on to receive a master's of divinity from Harvard. Yes, Harvard, y'all. Followed by a doctorate of ministry in church leadership and community witness from Emory University. So therefore, the pole dancer was intimidated because all she had to offer was a pole, while the pastor was out here with multiple degrees trying to save souls. But something thundered on the inside of Sister Delija and told her to go over to the pastor and shoot her shot. So she went over to talk to the pastor. The pastor said that when she came over, he was frozen. He didn't speak right away because he was captivated by Sister Delija, the pole dancer's beauty. And after that, they started dating. Now, everyone was not happy with Pastor Willie being interested in a pole dancer, and even some of Sister Delija's friends told her that she was seducing the man of God. And some of the members of the congregation told the pastor that it was not a good look for him to be involved with such a woman. Some of the congregants told the pastor in a meeting, "Yo, you're a pastor. You can't date a stripper. You just can't do that." The pastor informed some of the congregation members that Sister Delija was not a stripper, but a pole dancer. 2 different things. Some of the members of the congregation still told the pastor that that type of profession was frowned upon, disgraceful, and low, just low. The pastor told him, "That's exactly why I'm dating her. I want to see how low she can go." Now look here, I ain't mad at you, pastor. You telling the truth. You got to do more in a marriage than just pray and fast if you want it to last. Well, Dawson, if you want a marriage to survive, you got to keep God first and get on your knees and pray. Just stay on your knees. Yeah, that may be true too. But if you want a marriage to survive, you also better get on your knees and open wide. Now let me go on. Oh, man, let me go on. Now, some of the members of the congregation, they got mad at the pastor's decision. His decision to continue to date Sister Delija. But the pastor told them, "She's going to be my wife. And if she can work the pole, she can stroke my soul. Take a breath." The pastor told the members not to worry about his soon-to-be wife and that y'all super saints need to go and get a life. And you may need to sign up for a pole dancing class or 2. Selah. Now, after having all of that controversy in the years of dating, Pastor Willie and Sister Delija finally got married recently in New York City on a yacht. Look at them. They embarked on a 5-hour cruise around the city while 110 guests gathered to celebrate their love. The Black Tie Affair theme celebrated Black love and excellence. Black love and excellence. Some of the pastor's old college friends from Morehouse, they came and they serenaded his bride. Look at her, y'all. She looks so happy. You better be happy it took you a decade. Let me go on. I ain't gonna even get messy like that. Some of the bride's friends danced and enjoyed the music and drinks aboard the yacht. Although there were no stripper poles present at this wedding reception, some of the bride's friends still decided to drop it like it's hot. Big girl, can you back it up? And I bet you that lady got a degree right there. Look, and she going all the way down to the ground with it. Whoa, look at big girl. Hey, get up off the ground, ma'am. Have a little class, why don't you? Man, I tell you, First Lady and Pastor got some wild friends. Now, I thought this was a great love story, even though it took them over a decade to finally walk down the aisles. They eventually made it, so nobody is mad but the devil. It kind of reminds me of my bishop, Bishop Noel Jones, and his wife, First Lady Loretta Jones. It took them a while, but they made it, and ain't nobody mad but the devil. So if you mad, You know the rest. Now, when asked about her future with her husband, the First Lady said, "We're always learning about each other because both of us are forever evolving. I'm excited to see the man that he will be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, because we really want to be the best that we can be, who God has called us to be." After a decade of dating, now you want to put God in it? Nevertheless, I'm being messy. Nevertheless, I'm happy for their love and for their success. Now, I want to say this. First Lady Delija has her own website and her own company. This is what she does. Her website is blackgirlspole.com, and she was also featured on Good Morning America, where she was trying to teach Keke Palmer how to pole dance. And, you know, I guess it worked. Keke got a man, but the man she has, she don't need him. You need to let him go. Let him go, Keke. Let him go, all right? So she is known around New York, and a lot of people have called her to learn how to pole dance. So you all go over there and check her out. But what I want to know is this. How would you feel if your pastor was dating or married to a pole dancer? And also, would you be a member of a church where a pastor's wife is a pole dancer and has a pole dancing company? Let me know in the comments. Also, do you think First Lady Delija needs to give up pole dancing and her pole dancing company since she is now the pastor's wife? What do you say? But, you know, a lot of these new pastors' wives, they all have their careers and things they did before they became First Lady. I mean, look at Shawnee Henderson. She is one of the executive producers of Basketball Wives. She's not leaving her affiliations with Basketball Wives because now she is the First Lady of Lighthouse Church down in Houston, Texas. Shawnee is redefining what a First Lady is. And Pastor Keon Henderson is here for it. He don't want nobody bothering his wife. Now I'm off of this. Get down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this video. Until next time, it's your guy Dawson. Y'all.
All right. Very kind of funny stuff there. I'm going to mix it up a little bit this time. Black Steel, what say you to this?
That nigga's a hater. I'm gonna say that. He's a hater. And I'm gonna tell you why I say that. First of all, he said she's a pole dancer. He didn't say anything about her being nude, about her stripping. Now, I am not the type of person to try to push morality on other people, right? Whatever floats your boat, that's fine. I'm a freaky ass brother myself. So I'm not gonna sit up here and try to judge anybody. What you do in your bedroom to two consenting adults is your business. But this dude is a hater. She's up on a pole. He's on a pole. So the fuck what? So what? Who is her? First of all, she's clothed. She's dancing on a pole for exercise. I mean, this to the point that some people want to consider pole dancing as an Olympic sport. Okay, it's not my thing, but if she's not doing anything to hurt anybody, she's successful. She has a business. She's with a dude she's happy with. Okay, yeah, he's a pastor. Yeah, he probably should have did shit the way the church should have did it. You know, married or whatever. So the fuck what? Okay, this finger wagging and this moralizing, people get sick of that shit. That's why people don't go to church now, because they're sick of it. They're sick. I mean, if I reach back into my religious bag, you know, growing up in the church, it says Jesus came to save who? Tax collectors and sinners. Those who are sick have no need of a physician. The Son of Man came to seek that which is lost. So just going in my religious bag, he did what Jesus did. Jesus taught who was Jesus' most faithful disciples? Mary Magdalene, okay, a prostitute, a lady of the evening. All right, and this woman's not even that; she's just dancing on the pole. Okay, this may not be a big deal. She's not again. She's fully clothed. She stays in shape. She's attractive. I mean, there's bigger fish to fry. Dude sounds like a hater. Is what it sounds like to me. He just mad he wasn't invited to that wedding. Girl wasn't dropping it on his face or on him. That's what it sounded like to me. Cause I'm happy for the pastor. You find you a good woman. You talk about black people reproduce with other black people. There you go. So what? She makes a living as an athletic pole dancer. So what? Who she hurting? She's not hurting anybody. I don't feel she's even a bad example for anybody. She's a business owner. She's in shape. What's the issue? Stop being a hater. Worry about what other people do in their bedroom. That's some sucker shit. I'll leave it there.
Black Steel's a customer. Let's go to Anthony.
Black Steel is a 5-star check. But you know, I invited Black Steel. I invited him at all.
Man, let's go. Yeah, I should have heard it was Zulio the other night.
Nah, but Black Steel spoke truth, though. He's absolutely right, man. He spoke truth.
I mean, I'm gonna say, man, you know, I really agree with him too.
Yeah, like what are they?
I agree with him too. You know, I ain't mad at him, man. I really ain't mad at him. I bet the dude do sound like a hater.
He do. I mean, I'm pretty sure that pastor all the time, like, what's wrong with pastor? Pastor can't find a good woman. Then he finds a woman, right? And it's not. To me, it sounds like, hey, so you found a woman? Okay, she's a stripper. She's not hurting anybody, right? But this is what I don't understand about Christian. It means, you know, I'm not a Christian or anything. You know, I'm an atheist. I'm agnostic. But that mentality that they have, like he was saying, look at Mary Magdalene. Look at Jesus surrounded himself. He didn't surround himself with the best. He surrounded himself with the scourge of society, right? And he saw their soul. And he's like, these are people. I need to embrace them. So as a church and a community, what's wrong with him embracing her, coming her into the grace of God? What is wrong with that? Isn't that your mission? You know, so it's very weird to me. It's very weird to me. I understand it, but at the same time, it's weird.
I hear what the brother's saying. I hear what the brother. Anthony, cut your mic. I hear what the brother's saying, right? I hear what the brother's saying. But for me personally, right? This for me, it come off as trickish behavior. Now, I'm not mad at the tricks. I'm not mad at tricking make the world go round. I'm not mad at them. I'm just saying in my mind, like, you know, Black Steel say that she could have been practicing sports or like getting ready for the Olympics. I'm like, come on, Black Steel, come on. Needless to say, though, I'm not mad. I just, who knows what a mod need to make him happy and satisfied. This system might fit the bill for this brother. I'm not mad at him at all. What a profession is. A woman of career is a woman career. She could be a lawyer and still be a freak. She could be a doctor and still be a freak. So I mean, it really don't matter at the end of the day. So if this would satisfy the brother appetites, no problem. But to say that she was like on the pool for exercise or trying to work up for the Olympic sports, really, come on, bro. Come on,
in the
bro.
streets, she's getting to go middle. She's not. No one's looking at for her to for gymnastics.
Nah. But I ain't hating on the brother. She looking like she's a pretty chick. She's a pretty lady. You know, she's a pretty lady. For me, it's a personal matter whether the mother gonna be happy that this chick used to work at Magic City. Hey, that's a family matter. That don't have nothing to do with me. If it makes him happy, I say all blessings to you, brother. That's what I say.
Yeah, especially if they're a happy couple and they're married, you know, and that's what we should like to see. That, like, when people see me and they're like, hey, I have 5 kids, they say, oh, the same mother. I'm like, oh God. I was like, yes, the same mother. I've been married for over 20 years, and they jaws drop. Why? Because
20 years, 5 kids. Blessings to you too, brother Kofi.
Thank you. And because, like, this is a dying breed. The only time some Black people could point to people like that are our grandmother or great grandma, right? Because great grandma, great grandpa, they stayed together to the day they died, right? That's not commonplace here. So for us to finger wave at people that's getting that are happy and getting married, come on now. They living their life, you live your life.
Let's hear from Anthony this time without interruption. Anthony, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know what I was gonna say, man. Was like, this thing of any one of those guys, man, any of those brothers, man. You know, like, let's go back to like we was in high school or whatever. You know, where it was always a chick. You know, it was a chick around, man, a good looking chick, But everybody, she had a bad, what they call a bad reputation or something. You know, people always say, "Oh man, don't mess with her. Don't mess with her." You know what I'm saying? You know, she ain't the one you need to be messed with. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is sometimes, you just can't help who you fall for. I know who you end up with. I mean, I just don't. I ain't mad at it, man. You know, like if when I was growing up, like in the church and everything, it was that mentality. Oh man, you can't mess with her. But no, I ain't hating on her though, man. You know, I mean, it was kind of funny, the way he was telling the story, but I ain't hating on it, man. I'm not mad at it, man. You know, I think the other dude was just hating on it, man. That's all I wanted to say.
I mean, honestly, let's be all honest as men, right? Was there ever a time a loose woman, and you with this loose woman, it's just gonna be a little wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and you end up falling for the loose woman. I mean, it happened to me. I know other brothers that happened to. There's a saying, don't turn a hoe into a housewife. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it happens. Maybe he's like, hey, this is the type of woman that I want. Maybe that's probably why he wasn't, married for that whole time. He found someone that he liked, and that's it. But sometimes people turn hoes into housewives and they live happily ever after.
All right. Thank you guys for that. Let's hear from Oni.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said that happened to me, but like what happened is this though. I wouldn't have said that.
There we go. This a 5-star degenerate talking, guys. This is a 5-star degenerate.
Look, man. Well, first off, I was gonna say this: if your woman got Kiki Palmer to pole dance, I mean, I ain't mad at you. I'm just gonna, but no, for real. That's the trouble with America, honestly. Where it's like you have to get with Miss Independent most of the times. I don't particularly agree with that sentiment. I don't think a man should. I mean, again, I don't know to what extent this pole dancing was. It's really unclear if she's, popping it, in the strip house. If she's rolling around, if she's rotating on a strip pole for dudes to like put money in her drawers, or I don't think she's doing competitive pole dancing. I don't know. It might be that she's doing aerobics classes, honestly. Because she has a company called Black Girls Pole. Matter of fact, I should have probably looked into it. Not that interested, but I probably should have looked into it. So I don't really know if she's a stripper or if she's doing some athletic pole dancing. If she's doing some weird athletic pole dancing, then it's probably not as bad. Like if she's just teaching a bunch of women how to, if she's teaching a bunch of women how to pole dance, kind of strange, kind of weird. Again, I don't think this is a good choice, but like that's America. Like I think there's two things to it. One is that in America, you don't really have too many great choices. You know what I mean? You might have to just take what satisfies you. But on the other hand, it's like, I personally wouldn't like the rule is don't make a hoe out of a housewife. I'm sorry, don't make a housewife. No, don't make a what is it?
Don't make a hoe into a housewife.
Yeah, don't make a hoe into a housewife.
Why you calling this lady a hoe though? Why you calling her a hoe? What she did make a hoe? You bugging me, bro.
I don't know if this woman's a hoe. So I think the guy is kind of hating because we really don't know if she's just exercising on the pole. It's probably not the best form of exercise. It's probably not an exercise thing that I would, recommend. It's obviously has a sexual orientation to it. But we don't actually know if this woman's a hoe. So it's like, it could just be Pastor met a good woman who happens to, for some reason, like orient herself, like who probably could make good money from teaching women how to pole dance. But my thing is that men really should, I think men should probably not marry women for money, or even want their women to make a lot of money, honestly. But I don't think men should marry women for their money. So I don't really know what the situation. Because I especially since the pastor makes good money, I don't know what's his story or what's his reasoning behind. Like it could just be that he just wants to, have sex with a fit woman who he thinks looks he thinks looks good. I mean, I can't tell how good she looks because the banner's in the way. But yeah, maybe she's a good looking woman. I don't know. That's it.
I appreciate that, Oni. Is there any last thoughts on this prompt? All right. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze, topic number 4 tonight. Like I said, we're going to end at 11. So whatever the last prompt is, that'll be it. Shoot the Breeze, topic number 4 says, why do comedians seem to be more profound? Twitter. A post from Jill It Is Then says, oligarch calls the working class weeds and says they shouldn't be watered. This is a short video. I might play it twice. We'll take a listen.
And some of us have stables.
Are you worried about this government being seen to be helping the better off more than the poorer people?
Absolutely not. Look, we are not just about benefiting the rich, but benefiting the rich benefits everyone. And let's not forget the rich have more houses to heat and some of us have stables. But look, this term trickle-down economics is something that's been mischaracterized by the left on what our government is doing. We're not trickling down. We are watering a whole garden selectively. If you're watering a garden, do you water everything in it? Some would argue yes, but I would say no. No, you water the lovely flowers and not the weeds. I'm not saying the working class are weeds, but they don't help the flowers grow, and the flowers is what maketh the garden. Okay, but you have to understand we had austerity, then we were leveling up, then we trickled down, and now we're pruning the working class, which helps everyone, and it's up to Mother Nature on whether they grow back again next year.
Are you worried about this government being seen to be helping the better off more than the poorer people?
Absolutely not. Look, we are not just about benefiting the rich, but benefiting the rich benefits everyone. And let's not forget the rich have more houses to heat and some of us have stables. But look, this term trickle-down economics is something that's been mischaracterized by the left on what our government is doing. We're not trickling down. We are watering a whole garden selectively. If you're watering a garden, do you water everything in it? Some would argue yes, but I would say no. No, you water the lovely flowers and not the weeds. I'm not saying the working class are weeds, but they don't help the flowers grow, and the flowers is what maketh the garden. Okay, but you have to understand we had austerity, then we were leveling up, then we trickled down, and now we're pruning the working class, which helps everyone, and it's up to Mother Nature on whether they grow back again next year.
I'm sure Buana was in agreement with that whole thing. I'm just kidding.
How you know so? How you know so good?
That was crazy.
Yes, but that's what Black Steel said in the chat. That's nasty. Black Steel, let's start off with you, man. Why do comedians seem to be more profound than normies?
So first of all, if she's a comedian, the joke's on her, right? This is why history is so important. I always tell my students, y'all think I'm just talking. I'm trying to tell y'all some shit that's very important to y'all. Okay? This type of attitude, this idea that she has is what led to the French Revolution. It's what led to the Russian Revolution. When you have vast levels of inequality and you want to flaunt it in people's faces, this is what got King Louis XVI's head chopped off. This is what got Tsar Nicholas and his whole family machine gun in a basement in Russia. Okay? This type of mentality where, like you said, trickle down economics. We're watering the deserving. We're gracing the poor with some crumbs from our table, and you should be grateful for it. That's what she's implying. Man, this is how you get fucked up. Okay, white people are violent as fuck. People don't know their history. People see these rich, wealthy white people that doing it, dripping, sipping their lattes and shit. You take away their creature comforts for a little while. You take away the ability to have their sports and their distractions. These crackers will kill you. They will eat you alive, lady. Think it's a game. And she got a British accent. Okay. There's always I think it was Lenin who said the capitalists will sell us the rope by which we will hang them. Right. So they're literally creating the conditions. And they're so secure in their idea that we're protected from this shit. They don't understand these people will slit your throat. Keep flaunting your wealth. Keep thinking it's a game. This idea that we're the ones who were watering the garden, and if you don't survive, so that's as if it's survival of the fittest. It's this Darwinian thinking process. So the reality is these rich motherfuckers couldn't survive if it wasn't for the working class people, because that's where their wealth comes from. Damn it, I'm gonna quote Marx again. Okay, your wealth is created through labor, through the work that people do. You take the surplus labor that people generate through their work, and you hoard it for yourself. Okay, and you call it industry. You call it, oh, we're entrepreneurs. No, you're really not. Okay, so you really think you're gonna have this idea? You're gonna flaunt all this wealth. You're gonna flaunt exploitation and make it seem like, oh, we're watering the people. We're gonna water who are deserving. Who the fuck are you? Who gave you the ability to decide who gets and who doesn't get? This is the conditions that cause people to especially wealthy people to lose their lives. History is so important because we're really recreating and we're really starting to see levels of wealth inequality that we haven't seen since after the Civil War, the so-called Gilded Age in the United States, where you had the robber barons, you had the Carnegies, you had the uh, the DuPonts and these other people who own these vast monopolies. But even back then, they had enough sense to go out to the poor people and give them money, give children quarters, because they understood that first of all, their wealth was built off these people working. And second of all, if you don't give people enough shit, they will kill you. If you don't make sure the working class has enough to survive, maybe thrive, maybe you have enough to go to a baseball game, they're gonna fucking cut your throat. So what I think, and this was back in, like I said, the mid 1800s. We had a lot of class struggle in the United States. You had the international workers of the world. You had a lot of union activity going on. So the capitalist is unrelenting in his assault on the working class. They don't want people to organize. They think maybe at this time they're kind of ahead of the game. Maybe they are. But this type of attitude, this type of thought process, like the one dude from Australia, he said, he wanted to have more people unemployed. You wanted to reset the economy to make more people suffer, to say that way they can understand who was in charge. This type of mentality is going to get people fucked up. I personally, I can't wait for it. I'll leave it there.
Appreciate that, Black Seal. So in the chat, Oni said that it's a skit, which I was not aware of. He says she's mocking the rich.
Oh, thank God. Okay. All right.
Insightful and profound. So that makes more sense for why the prompt talks about why do comedians seem to be more profound than normies. But, in comedy, there's always some truth. I'm sure there's people who do feel this way, so we can still speak to that sentiment. Let's hear from Kofi, the Black critic. Kofi, would say.
Yeah, you have people like Jon Stewart, George Carlin, where their comedy, Chris Rock, is very political, but it's very funny and profound at the same time. It's funny, but at the same time, it's not funny because you have a lot of right wingers or extreme capitalists that actually think like that. That it works is like Well, trickle down economics, and that's that whole thing with trickle down economics. Like, oh, give the rich money, and then they'll just hire on more people when we know all they're gonna do, especially with the economic crash and crisis that happened, especially with Obama. What they were doing, they were doing stock buybacks. Even when Trump was giving people given all these tax breaks, they were doing stock buybacks to inflate the the worth of their own company. You know what I'm saying? So it's sad and funny at the same time. And what the brother said before was like, yeah, the rich depends on the working class. So the politics of nowadays is that you have people saying, well, hey, look, these people are bad. Like, so like the Republicans right now, they say, well, the Republicans is like the big bad wolf right now, but the Republicans right now are really the super rich. Not saying the Democrats also don't have people in their pocket, but at least the Democrats is at least throwing something like, hey, look, we're gonna do this for you, we're gonna do that for you, we're gonna get rid of Social Security. We're not gonna get rid of Social Security, we're gonna save Social Security, we're gonna do drug prices on medication, things like that. And then you have people on the other side, the Republicans, it's more of a fear mongering thing, right? At the same time, they're freaking robbing you and having you fear other people while they're picking your pocket, right? So you have people making like the average wage saying, well, hey, those people are evil, those people are this, and they have you looking the other way while they're picking your pocket, while you've been working your whole life and they're trying to get rid of Social Security, while they're trying to get rid of unions, while they're trying to get rid of certain government agencies, all well to make the capitalists more rich, right? Which will hinder your life, right? So if they want to get rid of EPA, that hinders your life, right? If they want to get rid of the CDC, if like Robert F.K. Jr. want to get rid of the CDC because he doesn't believe in vaccinations, that's going to hinder you, right? All at the same time while they're picking their pocket, while they can do business to make more money, so they could fill their pockets on, and the only person that's going to get the shitty end of the stick is going to be you. So I'll leave it right there.
Appreciate that, Kofi. Anthony,
Kofi, I'm sorry. Before you go, Anthony. Kofi, have you heard of Project 2025?
And there's that. And there's that. Yes, and that it's like a Gestapo. It's like Hitler. I don't want to keep using the word Hitler all the time, but it's pretty much that's the playbook of what's going on right now. And what Trump has done in this day and age is, wow, it's pretty much use something positive as something negative. So when I hear black people using the word, oh, that's a woke agenda, and you see how those woke people do, I'm like, oh my God, you're falling for the same thing. You don't know that you're demonizing yourself. You're demonizing yourself. I spoke about this on my channel. The word they're using for woke is something that black people use. Erykah Badu had it in her in a song she had. Childish Gambino had it. There's a lot. We use that word a lot. So anything in this country is positive, right, that black people have, they're going to turn to something negative, and they're doing against it. So woke means LGBTQ. Woke means everything negative against the society. And they have to do Project 2025. Basically, what you're saying is like, Trump is an idiot. He didn't know what he was doing, right? But now that they know how the game is played, now they know how the chessboard is laid out. Like, wow, we should have did that instead of this. Steve Bannon, I think he went on the English network, just spewing about what Project 2025 is, right? They're gonna fire the FBI. They're gonna fire all these people and put in Trump loyalists. I'm not talking about your Liz Cheneys and your moderate Republicans. There's a difference between Republicans and MAGA, right? All the Republicans were on the January 6th hearing saying this motherfucker's crazy, right? A Republican is Mike Pence, right? William Barr, right? Still horrible people, but they're not gonna get rid of the Constitution like Donald Trump says. Get rid of the Constitution, right? And I should be a dictator. All this is in Project 2025, and you have everyday people ignoring this. You bring it to their attention, they ignore it. You bring it to black Republicans, they ignore it. Right here in New York, Trump did another stage play out here at the bodega, and it's the same people, the young black Republican group, say, "Oh, I'm going to a bodega," right? To fool us. And you got people that actually believe it, but our people are not that in tune with politics, so they don't know what's going on a day-to-day basis. And you got people saying, "Well, oh, Trump is this, Trump is that, Trump is the best," and it's like, why? I asked people, what is one redeeming quality that Donald Trump has besides making other rich people rich? He ain't even rich, but besides making other rich people rich. And they say, "Oh, it don't matter."
Showing them how to make them rich. Showing them how to make them rich. But
why? By not paying your taxes?
I'll wait for my socialist. I'll wait for my socialist brothers to finish their rants, and I'll go after them. No worries.
No. I don't want to take it off the whole. I know it's politics, but in this day and age right now, Project 2025 they're basically telling you that they're gonna take over the government in a Gestapo fascist dictatorship way. What checks and balances are we gonna have? Some of you brothers don't want to. I go on Negroes on channels that are Republicans, and I ask them, like, if fine, Joe Biden is the worst, fine, that is fine. But tell me, how are you backing a person that is doing Project 2025, right? You're a black person, right? And you saying that it's okay. You make an excuse for Donald Trump saying that Africans are criminals and they're terrorists and all these other things. You have no problem with that. He wants to be a dictator. He wants to get rid of the Constitution. Once he gets in the office, what checks and balances do you have as a black person or as an American that's going to protect you from him doing those things? And they just downplay. Oh, he can't.
This government being.
People aren't really aware of it, because the Project 25 is basically to gut the executive branch. The idea is that the president has absolute authority over the executive branch. So that means all of the other departments, like you mentioned, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Center for Disease Control, Department of Housing, Department of Education, all these other parts of the executive branch that fall under, which they're just going to delete them, get rid of them, and the president is going to rule that particular department as an absolute dictator. So people don't realize how dangerous that is. And us criticizing Trump does not support Biden. Nobody supports genocide, Joe, either.
Exactly.
People think when you criticize one, you support the other. No, the entire political system is corrupt as fuck. We can understand that, and we can definitely appreciate that. But there are differences between the two political parties, because if you're going to struggle against these two parties, you have to realize that in the ways they're similar and the ways they're different.
And exactly. And with that said, it's like, okay, Joe Biden is the worst, right? But at least under Joe Biden's presidency, at least you could do certain things within the confines politically to get rid of him, or to correct what's right. But if Trump has absolute power, and you can't even say, well, we go to Supreme Court justice. He filled the Supreme Court justice up. So what are you going to do? He has them in their pockets, right? So there's no way you're going to go in order for refuge in a democracy when he's trying to get rid of the democracy. You know what I'm saying? The FBI, he wants to get rid of the FBI. White people, all of a sudden, since January 6th, white people hate the FBI and they hate cops. It used to be Blue Lives Matter. Now the hell is fuck Blue Lives. Why? Because it's stepping in their way. People are not understanding that it's always been a racist country, despite what Nikki Haley says. There's always been a racist country. But you gotta understand, 8 years of Obama, these white racists just hated it. Trump is like the coming of Jesus. He's the exact opposite of Obama. So they have to hold on to power no matter what. So I don't understand how people that's been living in this country for about 10 years don't see that dynamic, don't see how these things are playing out to our demise. If you're not a white person, right? I don't understand how you could just go, It's just another. It's just politics. I just don't understand it.
Okay, so now Kofi, Kofi and Blacksteel, my brothers, great brothers, very intellectual brothers, they have given a leftist perspective on what's going on in America. I have no problem with it. We just started. Let me just say that I just thought that we started different positions. I just see the other side, and I'll say this because they've done with their workers of unite, workers of the world unite speeches. So let me just say this. I, when this woman says that you have to water things that is gonna eventually grow, I understand that you have to water things so that it grow. Something why would you water weeds? Why would you water things that don't grow? And when Blacksteel mentions Carnegie, if you look at the story of Andrew Carnegie came from Scotland as a pauper. He had no money. And the fact that he was able to move in America was because of free trade, free enterprise, laissez-faire. Laissez-faire caused Andrew Carnegie to become a wealthy man and hire the so-called workers that we talking about, causing that says that without the workers, he would never be who he is. Without laissez-faire and him coming from Scotland to America, if America was practicing the ideas and the socialist politics that my good brothers and my suggesting, he would never become a billionaire or multi-millionaire. Never.
Okay. Let me push back on that. You're
Kofi, let me finish. Kofi, I let you all go for a long time. Let me finish. So now I'm looking at the scenario. And I'm saying to myself that I would think that we would want, because you all are suggesting that without the workers, these brothers, the Andrew Carnegies of the world would not have the success that they have. What I would put to you all is, without Andrew Carnegie's ideas, his thinking, his saying, well, let me put these things together and have the workers actualize it to create the financial institutions that I'm going to create, we would have no wealth in America. It was their brain and their mindset. Their thinking created that. Their thinking created the ideas that build America, not the labor. Because if you say if it's just the labor, then if it was just the labor, the American experiment would have still been an agricultural experiment. You wouldn't have been a superpower in the world. You would have been a so-called, you wouldn't have been a superpower in the world yet. Because if you just saying it's labor, Negro power built America. But Negro power only got America so far. It was the people who were thinking, the ideas took America from just the labor to something that that created the superpower that it is right now. It's the thinking. It's the people who created thoughts. So the Elon Musk of the world. And I don't call him a white man. Because a white man, but the white man had to input the world that help bolster the United States economy to the economy that it is right now. You can't just say it's labor, because that's an unfair analysis. You're letting us and Trotskyists thinking it's just labor itself. It's not just labor itself. It's thinking. It's thinking. It's ingenuity. It's innovation to take America from an agricultural society to the society it is right now. And I think that's what you're all skipping. And that's an unfair analysis. That's unfair. And I'm saying that if you try to stifle what you're all trying to stifle right now and say, well, okay, we must pay the laborers 100,000 or 200,000, whatever they demand. When it's in fact, it's me who come in my ingenuity, my innovativeness, that creating this whole situation. They should get paid for that thought. You know what? The biggest labor I feel in society itself, it's not necessarily with your back, it's with your brain. It's with your brain economy. And I feel like you should get paid for thinking, because thinking is the difficulty, not necessarily the labor and carrying it out. And this is where I find the difficulties for my brothers, because they don't want to acknowledge the thinking part of it. They just want to acknowledge the back-breaking work, the physical labor, but not the mental labor, because there's a mental aspect of what you are doing to create society itself before the physical labor comes. I think that you all jump the line sometimes, and that's the difficulty I have with the brothers from time to time with these kinds of arguments. It's not just because I'm wrong. I'll stop.
Let's hear from Anthony. Anthony, what say you?
Okay, yeah, that was I just okay. No, all of the brothers made great points and everything, but so I want to get into like the economic ideology thing. You know, I just go with the prompt. Now the prompt is why do comedians seem to be more profound than what is that, the normies? What is that, Coco? That is the normie?
Yeah, yes, the normie, the non-comedians.
Okay. Okay, all right, I got it. Now I didn't understand exactly what that word was, what that meant. But I don't think that not comedians today. To me, I don't think that comedians today are more profound. You know, I mean, if you go back probably to the '60s, I think, with comedians like Brother Dick Gregory was, and I got problems with him too, but I think that he was more. I don't think that they saying anything today that was more profound than what he was saying back in the '60s. And yeah, but because I mean today, I mean even with Chris Rock, yeah, Chris Rock is entertaining. We love to listen to him. And he do say some good things, some positive things. But at the same time, he's still a comedian. And and he attack things from a comedic, point of view too. So I mean, you really, you really can't take him seriously sometimes, because I mean, a lot of these cats, they say things, but then you look what they do in their own lives. You know what I'm saying? So I'd be like, now we're gonna listen to him. But no, man, I just and I was thinking about her, the young woman in the thing where she was talking about the trickle down economics. It kind of remind me, Coco. I know you remember in New York City back in the '80s. Well, we called it Reaganomics back then, didn't we?
Yep, Reaganomics.
It was called Reaganomics. Saying the whole trickle down thing. You know what I'm saying? And to me, like for black people, it's just like what Obama and them and Kamala Harris them come with that about the rising tide. Floats all boats. Well, black people, everybody else in the boat, we outside of the boat. So the rising tide gonna drown our black ass. You know what I'm saying? That's what I look at it. It's gonna drown us. So I don't know, man. I just, I don't think that any comedians today say anything any more profound or not nearly as profound as what Dr. Amos Wilson said. What he said was 20, 30 years ago. But I don't see him as really being more profound. And you have some, I see some comedians like in Africa. It's this sister from Kenya, man. She says a lot of deep things. She talks about, I can't remember her name right now, but she says, she touched on a lot of deep and profound issues. But I mean, today, to me, I don't really see it, man. Paul Mooney, is a comedian from my hometown. He said a lot of deep things, But I don't really see him saying too much that I really take seriously. I knock off right there.
Thanks for that, Anthony. Anthony, whenever you find out that Kenyan comedian's name, can you forward that to me? Because I've been looking for creators like that. All right, I appreciate it. Last but not least, I guess, Oni, you heard everything everyone else had to say. Why do comedians seem to be more profound than normies?
Yeah, so I think earlier we were talking about how do you reach the masses, and I don't know if y'all peeped it, but Blacksteel was pissed, Blacksteel was irate.
I ain't gonna lie, I was.
He was fuming. This boy was like, this is how you get killed, man. He was loading the pistol right there, man. I heard it. This is how motherfuckers get killed. But what I'm saying is that this skit, I mean, I don't know how popular it is, but it's exactly the kind of medium and the exact kind of tonality that can get a rise out of people. You know, I don't like Dave Chappelle, you know, personally, right? I think he's kind of anti-black. I also thought Boondocks was anti-black. But black folk loved, a lot of black folk loved Dave Chappelle's show. And it was all right. They like his comedy sets. You know, one dude was telling me I was on some bullshit because I ain't like his comedy set, some shit. They were like, "Oh, you must like trannies or some shit." I'm like, "No, I just don't find this guy funny. He says the N-word too much." But anyway, and the same with Boondocks. Black folk, we love Boondocks. You know, I'm saying that to say, yeah, somehow they know enough, like they know more. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like they catch on a little bit more. Like Dave Chappelle, say what you will, this dude's pointing out the transgender agenda. He's doing this. So I mean, I don't listen to him, so I don't know all the stuff he says. Oh, he's talking about the sort of quote conspiracy between some people. You know what I mean? Small hats, as you may say, right? But he's saying stuff that, for some reason, is not in the mainstream, but they're like informed on things in a way. So like this woman over here, she's clearly a white comedian or whatever, and she's really putting the arrogant white, what's his face, Queen Elizabeth, not Queen Elizabeth, Marie Antoinette, I think, that let them eat cake type shit. She's really, I guess you could say, bodied it. And to the point where even Black Steel, who didn't know it was a consent, was like, damn, what the fuck is wrong with this woman, right? That's kind of the impact, that's kind of the effect that we want. So even if we were talking about, hey, let's reach the masses, and we're like, hey, I don't want to be on outside standing in the motherfucking cold. I want to be inside doing, yeah, you could shoot a skit like this, edit it well, and just put down the title, black man teaches the white man what's what, or whatever, right? And you just have a brother just, this is how to blah, 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 whatever. Black folk eat it up because there's something to it. And I think it goes back to Red Fox and Detroit Red and Chicago Red, right? So I think, if I'm mistaken, I think Detroit Red was, I can't remember, I think it was Malcolm X, and then Chicago Red was Red Fox. Now I don't know if it's the other way around. I can't remember, but no, it was that way. Yeah, because Malcolm's from Detroit. I'm from Michigan, but Red Fox says that he told Malcolm X, put some humor in your set because black folk want to laugh. Black folk think it's black, so on and so forth. But it's not even just black people. Like some of those mentioned, George Carson and them really put something to it. And I'll tell you this: there's like this Indian comedian who, like, I don't know, man. He knows how to tell people when they in the friend zone. You know what I'm saying? But I don't particularly get it. But it seems like that's a general habit that humor is sometimes associated with being better informed and among other things. Now maybe I'm wrong or what have you, but well, we know Coco keeps telling us he's funny. We haven't seen it yet, but he keeps telling us, so we know. I'm just messing. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I just thought it was a really good skit, really well done, and actually pretty profound in the sense of how the rich look out for their interests, above, so on and so forth. And something that we wouldn't actually see this in mainstream media, but it's a pretty useful artifact all the same, and that's all I can say.
All right. Does anyone want to have a follow-up comment here?
Yeah, really responding to Juana. He probably knew I was gonna come for him. I'm not. I I see what you're saying. I'm not saying that no one's supposed to give credit to the people who have ideas. right? But you need someone to make your idea into a reality, and it takes work, right? When when you look at China, let's say like 50, 60 years ago, right? It's not the China what it was today. And this is what I want Africa to embody, as well as Black Americans to embody because of the numbers, right? They said, okay, they don't have a lot of resources. The resources they have were people. There's billions of Chinese people. They had people. So they put their people to work and in factories and to produce things, right? And that's how China is where they are right now, right? Because they got wealth, because they put, again, they don't have resources, they don't have things like that. They take things, they make it, they reverse engineer it to see how it works, and then they make it their own. And that's how they're able to be a superpower of where they are right now. Yes, someone had to have that idea, but that idea can't come to fruition unless you have people putting in that work. Now, when it comes to corporations, right, when we have factories and people that like blue collar jobs, right, a corporation hates a union. They hate a union, right? They hate unions? Why? Because there's regulations, again, that thing that corporations don't want to deal with, because there's regulations they have to adhere to. There's workers' rights that they adhere to, and that cuts into what is a corporation's job. A corporation's job is to maximize profit. In this country, they're saying a corporation is a person. That's how draconian and just how cold and capitalistic they are. And you throwing around the S word like it's a bad person, like it's a bad word. And the S word by I mean is socialism. You have to have in America, if people admit it or not, there is a balance. Total capitalism isn't good. Total socialism isn't good. It is a balance. One checks the other, yin and yang. Because you have a capitalist mindset with no checks and balances, right? You have what Republicans trying to do right now, try to roll back child labor laws right now, right? There'll be no EPA, there'll be no CDC, there'll be all these things will roll back, right? And we don't want that. So we have a socialistic program, and we learned our lessons here in America during the Great Depression, where there was no safety net. There was no safety net, and the bottom fell out of everything. I put my money in the bank, stocks went bad. I want to get my money, right? There's no FDIC. The bank gave a whole bunch of loans. They have nothing in the bank. Then we, the people that put our money in the bank, in that corporation, can't get anything back. There's no social safety nets. When grandma was working her whole life, she was able to save a few pennies. It wasn't enough for her to save her, for her to live the remaining of her senior years. That's where Social Security came from. These are social safety nets. When people keep saying socialism is very bad, they don't understand the very mechanism of how American politics and society works. You can't see, well, there's socialism, so it's just a socialist society. You can't say, well, there's capitalism, where it's just a capitalist society. The two have to work in unison together, so corporations could do what they have to do without undermining the workers and the people that they need and depend on. They depend on each other to work. So that's my pushback to what you just said. I'm pretty sure Black Steel's gonna put his 2 cents in.
I was gonna let it go, but you know what? Fuck it. So
get him.
No, it's a workers of the world unite. Workers of the world unite. Y'all got
It needs to be saved from itself. Because the system is so unstable, every couple of years it collapses. We call it depression. We call it recessions. Right now in the U.S., we're going through a recession right now, even though nobody wants to call it that. It has booms and bust periods that are very common. And whenever it hits that bust period, they need some sort of socialistic practices to benefit, to bring them out of it. So when we talk about Carnegie, yeah, he made his money, but then again, he was using child labor practices. When you got 12-year-olds working in a steel mine, making pennies a day, so you can make yourself ridiculously wealthy. That's not a result. Oh, I'm so smart. Look at Elon Musk right now. He's always bragging about his intelligence. Look what he's done. Look what he's done to Twitter. He's not a genius. Look at his Tesla
He
cars.
overpaid for Twitter. He overpaid for Twitter.
Overpaid for Twitter. But he wanted to control that because he knew that Twitter was a news source that was outside the mainstream. So they want to control all, the news media. Look what he's done to it. I mean, you got his whole thing about free speech. It's ruined the site. It's completely terrible. But it's getting late. I don't want to keep it up too long. But yeah, we have to really be careful when we talk about ingenuity and all the other shit they're doing. They're not really. I mean, again, without us putting the average person putting their work in, then their dream isn't going anywhere.
I want to respond to that. First of all, the idea of a corporation being a person, and in terms of economics, an economical person, is on paper. That is beautiful. Oh goodness, that means that in terms I am protected, so I can make a LLC called Black Steel LLC or Kofi LLC. That means that if I want to, in terms of taxes, because I'm a corporation or corporation entity, I am protected people can't come after me as an individual. They have to come after my corporation. You know what I mean?
That's crony capitalism. That's crony capitalism.
Let me finish. So if I want to pay myself first in terms of economics and things of that nature, as a corporation, since I am one of the workers, then I am not being I am not being taxed to the same degree as an individual would be, because I am an employee of Kofi LLC or Black Steel LLC. Therefore, my taxes are going to be lowered. My taxes are lower, then I'm going to be taxed as an individual. That instrument, for me, in my mind, is a beautiful instrument. You have to do a little bit of work, though. You have to do a little bit of work. You have to do a little bit of work to understand how that financial tool works to benefit from it. Now, the people who want to just be lackadaisical and don't want to do anything in terms of how the so-called these business ideas and business streams work in America to not benefit from it. If you sit back and wait for certain things to happen, it's not going to happen for you. You have to do some work to understand how these financial instruments work to benefit from it. And Trump or people like himself, you say, these predatory capitalists, they are big business. So they understand how these instruments work. But you as the little man can understand how these instruments work too and benefit too from them. So your tax, how you are taxed is going to be different from how the so-called individual regular man on the street is going to be taxed. You can benefit from how. All I'm saying is that I just come at the position differently from the brothers do. And that's all I'm saying. I understand the brothers' leftist position. I respect their leftist position, but I just disagree. That's all I'm saying.
So let me ask you a question. So you're saying that rich people should pay less taxes and that middle class and poor should pay more taxes. Is that what you're saying?
What I am saying, that Warren Buffett says that he pays less taxes than his secretary. You know why Warren Buffett pays less taxes than his secretary? Because he spends more time trying to understand the tax code and how the tax code works and how to get around the tax code. As opposed to
he said one time that he should be paying more taxes. He said himself that he should be paying more taxes.
But he's not going to, because he understands how the system works. Why? Because he spent time understanding how the system works, Kofi.
Agreed.
Your brothers want to sit back and want all the benefits to come to y'all because y'all say.
I agreed. I agree. That's how the system is. I'm not saying you're wrong, but so what I am saying that the system alone is corrupt. So that's why I asked you: do you feel that rich people should pay less taxes and the middle class and poor should pay more tax. That's why I asked you that question, because I know how the system works.
But it's never been the case. Okay. I understand what you're saying, right? That's what you're saying, right? But when you talk about less taxes, right? We having a different kind of conversation, because the wealthy
Just corporations, like let's take Amazon for instance.
Hold on. Let me finish the statement.
Go ahead.
So the wealthy man may pay 1% of taxes, and the poor man may pay 10% of taxes. And the wealthy man, in his mind, he's paying less taxes, but in reality, 1% of 100 million is how much dollars? Whereas a person who's just making $100,000 a year and he's only paying 10%, because the wealthy man is not only paying his own taxes, he's paying the taxes based off the corporation, he's paying his taxes as workers, he's paying his taxes as business, there are many other things that go into the recipe when he's saying paying less taxes. So I just want to add that to the equation when we have these kinds of conversations to make it fair.
But I get what you're saying, but you have to understand they don't pay tax for the workers, so the workers themselves are taxable, right? I understand when you have a business, you want to write certain things off and deduct things off, right? But you have to see things as in a tax bracket, right? You're saying 1% of what they make, right? But they're in a total different tax bracket. So when you're in a total different tax bracket, you're going to have to pay more money because you make more money, right? They're at a tax bracket. People that are making like 500, 1,000 and up, they're in a rich category of taxes. So
Why am I being punished for making more? Why am I being punished?
Because
why are you punishing me?
I don't know why you're saying it as a punishment, but they get other tax breaks and other tax incentives. So let's like Jeff Bezos, for example, right? Everybody wants Amazon to come to their town, right? Here in New York, right? They want to entice Jeff Bezos to come so much. They say, hey, open a facility here. No tax, not tax deductible. He had to pay no taxes on it. They did that to sweeten the pot, right? Is that illegal? No. Is it fucked up? Yes, because that's revenue that the city could use for services that they need.
Listen to this BS. This is a BS argument, because
how was that a BS argument?
How many people?
Hold on.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Let me ask you a question. What's the purpose? What is the purpose of taxes from a state level? What is the purpose of taxes from a state level?
No, I understand, because the taxes will take care of all of the fact that you need to have certain things done, essential services done, paying police officers.
So now you having services done, right? I'm paying for everything, right? I gotta make sure your roads is fine. I gotta make sure your sewers is fine. Your electrical grid is fine. All that is on the dollar. So that money's not coming from anywhere else. So guess what? The mayor's gonna come later. Oh wow, we gotta raise taxes. Why the hell we gotta raise taxes? Because you just gave one of the richest men on fucking planet Earth. He doesn't have to pay no taxes on his facility.
Punish him. Wait a minute.
How is that? That's called the cost. That's called the cost of doing business.
But let me respond to you. When Jeff Bezos come to a city like New York City and brings his business into New York City, how many people does he hire? He is hiring thousands of New Yorkers and paying their bills. So
how is he paying their bills?
Because if they working for Amazon,
exactly, they're working. He's not giving them free money. He's giving for their labor, and New York City is also going to tax them.
But Kofi, is his business. So if they are working for his business and he is paying them a salary, thousands of workers, then why shouldn't he be able to benefit for some? Give me some luxuries, give me some benefits in bringing my business and hiring thousands of people and from your state and paying them, because indirectly when I hire them, they are going to be paying New York taxes as well. So I should be able to benefit from that and cutting my taxes. Cut my corporate taxes, because I am hiring your citizens in your state. So cut my taxes for bringing my business. Give me some incentive.
So basically, you're saying that's like that makes no sense because that's counterproductive. Because it's like I'm gonna give you $10 million so I could screw myself out of $15 million. Like it makes no sense. Now I understand the reason why people want that because they want that new business, right? That's very profitable. I get that, right? But to give him at zero tax is insane. Is insane. You have one of the richest people on earth, right? And you're not gonna tax them anything, and
You're
that's the
punishing
problem
them for
that we
being
have.
rich.
So
You're
a rich
punishing them for being
man,
rich.
so a rich
You're punishing
man
them.
could get away with a lot more crime than an average man. And that's the problem with the system. The rich get away with crime.
Coco wants to end this. It's 11 o'clock. Kofi will
Yeah,
continue this discussion later. We'll
bro.
continue the discussion later, but I respect that. But we'll continue the discussion later. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Kofu,
brother.
brother.
Yeah.
I don't mean to
Yeah,
cut
brother.
into your time, brother.
Before anyone leaves, I'd like you guys to give a shout out, a general shout out or something positive you saw this week. By the way, that conversation, we can continue that if a prompt is created. We can continue that conversation next week. So you guys keep that in mind. But before you go, give a positive shout out, just a general shout out, something positive in the Black world, something positive that happened to you, etc. Let's start with Kofi, the Black critic.
This basically one. My aunt, she's a doctor now, and she went through all the schooling, so she's not listening. But I want to, give recognition to that, give birth to that, and just basically say I'm just proud of her, and that's basically it.
I appreciate that. Make sure you guys check out Kofi's channel, Kofi the Black Critic on YouTube. Check him out.
Appreciate it.
We got to collab a little bit more in the future, Kofi. So I'll when I have time to start doing things again, I'll reach out to you. All right.
Same here. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Anthony, what would you like to shout out this week?
Hey man, Kobe, big shout out to your aunt, man. That's one thing. And
thank
I like
you.
to say, a shout. I had this past week I did a little show with a brother Shakara from the UK, and he was telling me about they have an upcoming summit that's gonna be a summit in the Caribbean. It's called CARICOM, but it's gonna be with a lot of brothers from from the conscious community. His father, brother Leader Umbandaka, and his sister in Jamaica. She's very very deep, man. I can't think of her name right now, but she's in Jamaica. I know I check her out on YouTube, and they have a conference where they're gonna be taking taking some of the house Negroes to task, man. And matter of fact, Kofi, yeah, one of the I think your homeboy is gonna be on there. I think Dwayne Omawale is gonna be on the panel.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. That's good.
Yeah, from Guyana. So it was that right there, and I just wanted Coco, if I could say something real quick, that I just wanted to clear from something that happened earlier. Can I say something?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to say this here. Like, I think we were talking earlier. Somebody mentioned, I don't know if it was Bronner, and we were talking about how black people, say a black person in North America, view things from a North America point of view. Okay, that's true in a lot of senses. But me as a black person born in America, in the United States, in Louisiana, I'm an African first. And I view, hey, when I see a Bahamian brother, he's an African. When I see a Jamaican brother, he's an African. I see a brother and a cousin, then he's an African. I look at all of us as that way. I don't look at it through a North America. No, I don't base my view on what a slave ship dropped me off at. And I'm not saying it's in a bad way towards nobody. But all I'm just saying is that, all of us don't think like that. So when we say, brothers from here or sisters from here think that, I just say we kind of let's say some brothers from here think that, No, all of us ain't Tariq Nasheed. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I look at, hey, my greatest hero is Marcus Garvey. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way, man. When you say, we all of us don't think like that. I look at the whole world, at the whole African world, man. And I just want to get that out of the way. And I appreciate it, Coco.
I appreciate you, Anthony. Anthony was on Forecast Channel. I came home and I tuned in right at the time. They was having an interesting conversation. I think Buana might have been there in the chat. So shout out to Forecast as well. Shout out to Brother Bakari, who was on earlier. Shout out to Azuli, who was out in the chat. and everyone else. Black Steel, what would you like to shout out this week?
So shout out to Niger. They've requested, the country of Niger has demanded that all U.S. troops leave their country, which that is happening right now. So shout out to them. Also shout out to Ugandan soft ground wrestling. Growing up, I was a big fan of professional wrestling. So there's this African wrestling promotion that they're doing right now, and they've got this white dude. They call him Lord White. And he's like he's talking who wants to bring colonialism back to Uganda. And it's funny to me because growing up, we had, the heels in wrestling. You had the Iron Sheik, you had Triple H, you had the different, heels and factions in professional wrestling. So it's brought a smile to my face seeing these Africans over. They're very athletic, very talented. They got this white dude, becoming he's some sort of aristocrat, as the main villain of the wrestling promotion. It's funny, but shout out to them. I see they're doing a lot of great work.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. Oni, what would you like to shout out this week?
All right, well, I'm gonna shout out Buana this time. I think he was right on that conversation. I think he's right about incentives being a driving force. And then I guess I'll also shout out the other capitalists. No, I'm joking. I'm not shouting them out, but but apparently some people's boys just did another fundraiser. So no, sorry, I'm gonna shout out the xenophobes in America because they about to hand this dude another 50 to 100K. The museum builder, they're gonna hand him another 50 to 100K because he started a Kickstarter, and that's how we do it. You know what I mean? So shout out to the people getting grifted and hoodwinked and sabotaged internally over and over and over again. Get hit. But beyond that, yeah, that's it. And yeah, shout out to Coco as well because this was a good conversation and all that. Appreciate everybody. Thanks.
Appreciate that. Also, shout out to Oni's book. You guys check out his channel. Check him out on Twitter. Go and look him up on Amazon and purchase his latest efforts. Thanks to Oni. Buana, last but not least, Buana, what would you like to shout out this week?
Yeah, first let me clean some things up. So when I talk in terms of the African American experience, I recognize that there are some of my brothers who have an international perspective, being from America, like Black Steel. Black Steel is in Florida, okay? He's from Chicago, an international city as well. So he would have interacted with people who are not only African American. So his perspective is a little bit broader than just the United States lens. Okay? So when he speaks, he'll speak from his African American perspective, but he understands other Black people exist in the world. You know what I mean? When I talk to Anthony McFall, Anthony is from Louisiana. But if you listen to Anthony, Anthony knows details. He'll quote you in a detailed way about other places where Black people exist in the world. He has an international sophistication about the world. When I speak sometimes, I understand that some of my brothers understand these things. They have, my African American brothers, they have an international perspective. But I do not want to discount the fact that they are African American people too. So they are influenced by their country and their society as well. Brother Bakari too. Brother Bakari's wife was from New York City. She was, and he is an international man. His grandson is a Haitian. His grandson is a Haitian. So he speaks from an international perspective as well. He has international sophistication about the world. But I would never, and I understand the brothers are like that, but I would never discount the fact that these brothers are African American too. They're my brother from America. I would never discount that. But I also know you have some people who don't know his other Black people in the world. You know what I mean? From America. They don't know, they don't recognize his other Black people in the world. So when I speak sometimes, I'm really speaking to the brothers who know better. I speaking to brothers who may not know better, who may not know better. So I want to make that very, very clear. And I have the greatest respect for them. I just I try to speak in a way that all our brothers can be included in the conversation, and just not the brothers who could follow along easily because they have an international perspective and international sophistication about the world itself. So I want to make that very clear. The other thing too is I want to give a shout out to my little nephew. My little nephew called me uncle the other day, and I don't even know how you learn the word uncle. So I was happy about that. He got me uncle. He got me uncle. So I am trying to raise him in a way that to break him out of that Christian narrative is going to be difficult because his mother is a big Christian person. So I trying to sneak a lot of my ideas about the world and propagandize him in the world because he's a male black man, and I want him to be a very clever black man in the world and not just follow along with this Jesus Christ narrative. So shout out to my little nephew, man. That's big for me. And also let me say this too. Don't ease up on the matron, by the way, because I see the numbers are going backwards, and I want the narrative, the numbers to go forwards. So don't ease up on matron. Her work is still very important and pivotal for what we trying to do in this world. We trying to educate and inform our youngers in this world. So don't ease up on listening to her. You don't have to pay full attention when you're all cooking or going to work or doing work at night at your table and things of that nature. Still listen to what she have to say. Improve her numbers and support her financially if you could. You know, don't ease up on that. Let's try to add on that and invite people to listen to what she has to say, because she is reaching into the past and informing us of how our oldest used to think to inform us on where we need to go in the future. So I would just remind the brothers of the things that we need to be actively doing in terms of just listening to the matron and what she's trying to do. She's raging a revolutionary intellectual war. So I just wanted to remind the brothers of that. But I'll leave it there, Koku. Thank you for the time, brother, and respect to all the brothers on the panel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to all of you who make the show great. We'll be back again next week. Same time, same place. I feel like there was something I was going to shout out, and I forgot it. You know what? Shout out to the Bob Marley movie. I finally saw it this past week here, or last week.
You like that movie?
I like something in particular they did in the movie.
Okay.
They did a bait and switch. If you saw it, you probably know what I mean by the bait and switch. But they did a bait and switch that they ended the movie on. I really like that. I'll be curious to hear what Azuli has to say as a filmmaker. I don't know if I liked all the casting, and I don't know if I like some of the storyline stuff, but they did some clever stuff. I'll put it like that.
I don't like the fact that they write Peter Tosh completely out of the movie. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, well, not just him, but Bunny Wailer too. They had Tosh, or a character for Tosh, or an actor for Tosh, but they never identified him as Tosh. You know, is when Marley them were younger, trying to get studio time. You know, so yeah, that's a problem for me. It shows that those families still have issues. But yeah, we should talk about it, Buana. Me, you, Azuli should talk about it. All right. And apparently Shakara reviewed it, which I should have expected. Right. African World.
Yeah. We need to do a review on. I tell you you should do a review of that. But Shakara gave his interpretation, but we do need to give our interpretation of that movie as well. So whenever Azuli is ready, and whenever you all got the time, even Oni as well, you know, whenever you all got the time, you all should we should do a review of that movie.
Absolutely. So anyway, guys, you guys tune into Oni and them tomorrow and during the week. Tune into the Matron. We'll be back next week, Saturday, same place, same time. Until then, you guys be good. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, We hope you pass along our web address, bitamedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Beta Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Beta Medicine Show, Twitter, Beta Meds, Tumblr, Beta Meds, Instagram, Beta Medicine.